Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day. This is Beverly, my sweet little lady, my favorite little kitty out of this batch. She is just the cutest. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, although we don't always do it, the holidays have thrown things off a little bit. Or if you just want to see the kitty today, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. Since, like I said, we don't always go live at the time, so I may as well get that notification. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hope you guys had a good Christmas. I had a great time with family, all the things. I know nothing, really have much to say about presidents and all, but I don't know, once you get to a certain age, like, who gives a shit about those things? I got a little scotch, put a little scotch in my coffee this morning. I don't really ever drink the old Goyce a lot, but every now and then, like, I got some Christmas, so I may as well pick at it a little bit, whatever. If someone's going to give me some nice scotchy poo, I'll take it. But we got plenty to go through today. We got Epstein field flooding. We got Candace Kayfabe, which was a segment I intended to do on the last one. Ended up cut it a little bit short. And then Brown shooting shutdown. I mean, that could end up getting cut today. We'll see. Although that was going to be probably on the shorter side of things. It's just going to kind of magically tie into everything. But yeah, we have plenty to talk about. We'll start off, obviously, with with the Icebreaker segment, which is typically the Gen Pop, the fun, the funny, something along those lines. Maybe a little bit wholesome since it's Christmas. We'll do a little different vibe, perhaps, for the introductory Icebreaker segment. Then we'll get into a little bit of foreign policy. And then from there, we'll get into the main segments that I listed off from the jump. But we have plenty to go through today. I do remind you guys that in between, at the end of each segment, we'll usually pop in and say hi to the chat. So for those who like to catch it back on the replay or on the audio, I do put timestamps. So if you don't want to hear chatter with the chat, I totally get it. That'll be at the end of the segment. So then you can just hit the timestamp and go on to the next segment. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into some icebreaker type stuff. Get into, and then after that, we'll pop in and say good mornings to everybody in there. I figured I'd give you guys a double dosing of cuteness this morning. Oh wow, I can't believe you guys can't see from my side of things, but literally the first tab I brought up and already the audio is disabled because that's what StreamYard does to me. Man, just a nightmare trying to manage these things and actually do the talky talk at the same time, but whatever. I persevere, but luckily this portion doesn't require any audio. I just want to show you some of the cute Christmas photos I got. And a little bit of a Merry Christmas from little Beverly and the Galison family. Hope you guys are having a great time with family. I definitely did. Here's a photo of Beverly, the little lady I just showed you a moment ago. And I don't think I've shown you any of the other kitties from the litter just because I'm so enamored with Beverly that anytime I have an opportunity, like when I stream here, because they're like, so she's like over in a room over there. Like usually my normal streaming spot, I don't bring her with me because it's like, I'd have to run across the other side of the house and just be too much. But when I'm in this room, when it works, Beverly's the kitty because she's my sweetheart. She's the best, but I figured I'd show you some of the other ones. Here's Beverly. Here's another Beverly photo being cute. Then I figured I'd show you some of the siblings. Here's little Fang, what we've been calling her. I forget what we've been calling him, but he's handsome. He's a real sweetie, too. He's probably like my second favorite out of the group, but we don't really have a name for him. A little blue and white. And then we got a little black girl here. I believe no, I don't remember what we're calling her. I think we don't think we have a name for her yet. Maybe we do. Here's the other black and white. She's Asia. I don't know why the wife decided to name her Asia, but whatever. But yeah, cute kitties. So we got some cute kitty photos in. Got a little good time with family. Did a little bit of reminiscing on the past with the kiddo, because my oldest was actually Googling me for some reason. So here's a little bit of a blast from the past from old Jose Galison. You see this, me absolutely mogging it, dude. It was cool. My daughter was Googling me last night and was like, was asking about stuff that I'd done. I was like, and she's like, found this. I was like, whoa. And because my daughter's like really big into soccer, and it's funny that like I'll tell her stuff and like she doesn't take me seriously that I was ever any good. And then she's like, holy shit, when she's reading this article. Just to brag a little bit. Here's the photo. You can see me like literally mid-air getting this ball. Well, what you're missing here is literally, this was on defense, and I friggin' literally soared through the air, took that ball, and literally dribbled up from defense all the way up in the entire field. This was like the game before playoffs. Like this is the game that took us to playoffs. We were tied, and my team was sucking balls, and I was on defense. I was just getting tired of them sucking, and we had 2 minutes left, and I just went for it. I just saw the moment, I seized it, and I just literally charged down the entire field, fucking literally juked out probably 2, maybe 3 people. I can't remember exactly. I do remember the spin. I got at least a behind spin move where I got past guy, and then I did a lunge, and I got past guy. I think it might have been a third one, and then boom, sunk it in, won the game, and so it was just pretty cool to have my daughter finally. I'm like, holy shit, you are cool. Yeah, I am cool, all right? Here it is, just to flex on some more. That was the most amazing goal, for him to play defense and actually be the last defender in the field and come all the way up through Chucky Doke and score. That's the best goal of the year, said South Green Kimberly Shelton. It's a little blast from the past. That was my coach on my soccer team way back in the day, back in 2009. So yes, I'm still awesome. I was awesome, and it was really cool to go down memory lane with the kiddos. So I hope you guys are having a cool time with family. I don't know. It's the older I get, the more it's all about the kids. So, and if anything, even this is like a function of like I'm happy because I know it makes my kids proud and like it gives them inspiration to do cool shit. So, because like for example, my daughter actually literally just recently had a very very similar situation, and she's been kind of on a little bit egotistical, like she's got some hot shit, and she literally had a moment like this. She plays offense typically. She plays left wing. And recently, she had like a game where it was the exact same thing. Couple minutes left, and she kind of dribbled up, probably about half field, maybe like a third of the field left to go, and she juked out like 1 or 2 people and got a good score in. So she's kind of, but then hey, your dad did it, but even better. so she can't sit on her laurels. It gives her something to aspire to. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Figured I'd brag on myself a little bit. Figured I'd dox myself. For those who aren't aware, I have told you guys, this is a pseudonym. So here's the name, Josh Gallison. This was literally on the front news of my city, I guess, Greenville. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool time. I totally forgot this was even a thing until my daughter was digging into it. But moving on to the next icebreaker story, we got... you saw you saw Alpha Predator me here. Well, here's a different version of an Alpha Predator doing the exact opposite as a man. Here's Florida man kills wife, shoots daughter over NFL game argument before taking own life. See, there are 2 different types of sports ball people. There are sports ball doers, and sports ball enjoyers. I'm a sports ball doer. I actually make fun of sports ball enjoyers, although I try not to be gay about it because it is. Although let's be real, especially if you're not even someone who played sports, what are you doing? I know, that's just me. I never been a spectator guy. I never liked watching sports, but I played plenty of them growing up. Just thought I was kind of gay to sit there and watch other people do cool shit. And we're like, well, why don't you do cool shit instead of getting super emotionally invested in other men's greatness? But whatever. Moving on, speaking of great men and just the absolute drip, here's Jeff Epstein. Jeff Epstein looking fly as fuck with... Ghislaine Maxwell. We've been getting a lot of these, and I gotta admit, I'm feeling conflicted about this new vibe I'm feeling. I've even made the jokes myself. Maybe they just kind of write themselves, and it's hard not to. But yeah, here's a Melian refugee said, Jeff, you have to stop. Your drip too hard. Your swag too different. Your bitch too bad. Your style too tough. They'll kill you. And I think, maybe, I know I had a running joke on Tower Gang back in the day that I believe Ghislaine was the evil one. And, Epstein was just a happy-go-lucky guy that just, he's kind of along for the ride. I mean, obviously, it's a stupid joke, but I don't know. I got to admit, he is like a Bond villain. His drip does go hard. It is conflicting. It's hard not to make the jokes and all the things. And you're just like, yeah, but he is evil. And I mean, kind of, continuing off of this, apparently it's become a trend to use AI to put yourself on Epstein's island. So here's people doing just that. So I get it. This is where I'm conflicted. Like, I understand too how this also could be some sort of op or some sort of to sort of downplay this now that's like inevitable, to kind of almost make it seem cool. But at the same time, we gotta at least admit when something's funny. This is funny. I mean, I feel like trying to fight it. I mean, you're going to make it worse. You're almost better just accepting it's funny, but then be like, come on, he is evil incarnate though. But it is funny. His drip does go hard. I mean, it is kind of funny. People putting themselves in the jet with him. But at the same time, he does probably literally guzzle down babies for breakfast, or did. Although he probably still does. Let's be real. All right, guys, that's the Icebreaker segment. Let's roll through the chat and say our hellos, say our good mornings, and then we'll get into the foreign policy section of the show. Good morning, Professor Parsi. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Wise Elk, says Jose is late. No, Jose is late. Jose is never late. Jose is there exactly when he means to be. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning, good morning. Saying it's dump o'clock. Good morning, Daz. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Chemical General. Good morning, good morning. Black Eye, one of our Aussies, saying it's 5:20 here, but fuck it, I'm grabbing a can. Hell yeah, brother. We will drink together. A little scotchy poo in here. Good morning, Northside. Good morning, good morning. Saying it's a post-Christmas miracle. Yeah, I almost didn't do one today because it does feel weird doing one today because it's like I feel like I still should be enjoying Christmas, but I figured it's Friday. Why not get one in? I won't do anything this weekend. We'll be back next week. It just feels right. And with as much news as is floating about, it just feels like, it's going to get memory hold if I don't. So I kind of need to cover some of this shit or else it'll just kind of disappear into the ether. Good morning, Marty. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Daz. Oh, I think I already said good morning to some of you guys. Good morning, Shannon. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Marna Mac. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, damn, everyone's talking a bunch. Northside says, you were cool. Have you explained to your daughters that Tower Gang is broken up yet? No, I haven't. I don't know how I'm going to break that to them. OG says, no way Jose flops like a European football player. The fuck I do. Do you see how fucking cool I look? Look at that, dude. Even then, I was 17 years old, just mogging that guy. You can even look at that fucking quad. You can see like a fucking goddamn boxing glove poking out. I was fucking yoke doggy. Like, I ran through people. People didn't run through me. When I fell over, I rolled. Like, I was a wrestler, and I played football, wrestling, and soccer. And soccer was the one I was like best at, but like I was also a power lifter. I had all sorts of records growing up. So like I didn't flop. And I also have always thought, like, I've always actually, my philosophy when it comes to flopping in soccer is always just like, that's stupid. Like, I get it, you can draw a foul, but at the same time, it's like, generally speaking, if the ref's going to call it, the ref's going to call it. And if you're laying on the ground like a fucking idiot, you are literally reducing your team by one player. So I never really liked that idea. If anything, if I had to fall, I more just like tuck and roll and try to jump back up as quick as possible because need to get back in the play. Like, if the ref calls a foul, great, but otherwise I'm not going to sit around and wait for it because it sounds like a good way to get fucking dunked on. Good morning, Uncle Ted. Says, what position did you play in soccer? Left out? Hey! No, I typically played defense. I was typically sweeper, like in a diamond formation, the guy in the back. So I was pretty good. I was a pretty good player, pretty good. Goddamn alpha predator, like Black Eye says. Yup. What's gayer with the sports than wearing another grown man's name on your back? Exactly. Good morning, Mega Nerd. Good morning. He's talking about Epstein. He says his Amazon list show him buying the cheapest clothing possible, but I don't think he ever wore any of that. Was he gifting everyone cheap clothing off Amazon? Well, all the child slaves in the basement have to wear something, Mega Nerd, of course. So, good morning, Shadows in the Cornfield. Says the most guilty one usually survives and disappears. Yup, for sure. See, we got a funny chat in here. See, everyone's agreeing this is kind of funny. Damn it, Gerald, you got me. I guess I'm gay. Saying if I read this, I'm gay. Good morning, Emily Lawrence. Good morning. Oh, I assume running back, says Shadows. Oh, are you asking about position in football? I only got 2 seasons of that because I moved halfway through high school and the school in Maine didn't have one, and so I never really got all that great because I only did like 2 years, and so I never really played it. But I played lineman, funny enough, but I would like more just to get game time. Like my wrestling coach was actually the line coach, and so he literally just hooked me up, and he knew I was strong as fuck. And even though I was like small, like I was like probably 170 in high school, I was strong as shit. and fast, and so he would put me on like O-line, and I'd do all right. Obviously, I wasn't like varsity material, but I'd also do fullback and linebacker. Those are the ones I did the most. And then kickoff teams, dude, I fucking crushed on kickoff teams. I'll say that. You give me a fucking full field to sprint and fucking murder you, it's a dangerous combination. Let me see. Damn, I bet bro slayed back the day. I did all right. I did okay. I landed a baddie. She's right over here. She's not hearing me in the bed right now. So, hi, honey. Good morning, William Miller. Good morning. Says, hope you had a good turd burglar Christmas. I did. Let me see. Got Gerald saying I'm handsome. Thank you. 4-4-2 sweeper is the best formation in soccer. I 100% agree. Nothing irritates me more. Well, the 4-4-2. I mean, I could be swayed on the 4-2, but the initial 4 being the 4-man defense, in my opinion, the diamond defense, just the best. Like, you need to stack your defense, and that's the way to go. I could be argued a 4-3-3. I'd say I'm probably actually more partial to a 4-3-3 than a 4-4-2, Uncle Ted. But yeah, potatoes. The initial 4 is the important part. Marty says my position is/was bottom. All right, appreciate it. You guys got jokes. Uncle Ted says that is a dangerous play and a penalty kick with you in the air. You're talking about the one right there? Yeah, it was debatable. I mean, I think maybe the angle made it worse than it was. I forget what the rules are for dangerous play. Isn't it like be above 90 or something? I think it's in relation to... So I think because of the fact it like jumped up in the air, it's not a dangerous play. I can't remember. It probably depends. Maybe in the state. I'm not sure. But anyways, let's get into some foreign policy. We've chit-chatted enough about how awesome I am. Let's get into some foreign policy. What do we have first? We got a little bit of a Christmas present from our commander-in-chief. Just wonderful stuff. We got murder for Christmas. Exactly what we wanted, right, guys? Here is Donald Trump saying, tonight, at my direction as commander-in-chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years, and even centuries. I have previously warned these terrorists that if they did not stop the slaughtering of Christians, there would be hell to pay, and tonight there was. The Department of War executed numerous perfect strikes as only the United States is capable of doing. Under my leadership, our country will not allow radical Islamic terrorism to prosper. May God bless our military, and Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists, of which there will be many more if their slaughter of Christians continues. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So awesome. If you guys haven't caught recently, there's been all this sort of chatter about, protect the Christians, is the angle. So it almost seems like if there's a Christian somewhere, we're now allowed to go to war there. That seems to be the impression. We are allowed to be Captain Save-A-Ho if there's a Christian anywhere that is, theoretically maybe somehow being, being persecuted for their Christianness. Although I'm not even entirely sure if that's a situation. I forget exactly the Nigeria situation. But even it is, I still wouldn't recommend it. It's also, they're supposed to be getting congressional approval for these sort of things. I believe that we weren't even really involved in Nigeria before this, so this is literally getting involved in a new conflict. I know it's like, I mean, we've been covering all the time, all the Somalia stuff, so it does kind of almost feel like that. But at least with Somalia, it's like, well, we've already been consistently in the fray there. I mean, I don't think we should be, but it seems like a whole other problem entirely when we're starting up a new conflict, because it's like, oh, cool. Well, great. Now we'll be doing this 15 years from now, just like we are currently doing with Somalia. We've been, fucking around with Somalia back since the 90s. You remember Black Hawk Down? Well, this is basically all a continuation of the same old fucking bullshit. And they'll be probably writing fucking, movies about whatever happens in Nigeria here soon that, fucking 15 years after the fact will still be, stuck in whatever quagmire going on over there. So I don't know, whatever, just great. I mean, I know it's to be expected. I mean, I think in the last episode I extolled the awesomeness about how, like, it seems like the more we, like, squeeze the metaphorical balls of the elites with this pedophilia shit, the more they're like, oh god, gas prices, $2.75, $2.70, $2.65, $2.50, like, and so it's great, but at the same time, it's like, at a certain point, we squeeze the balls too much, and they go, we're killing people over there. And you're like, gosh, okay. Which, ironically, I did just mention Clinton. Wasn't the Black Hawk Down incident? It was literally, or maybe it was some other incident. I know he bombed somewhere in response. Well, like I say in response, I guess this is your conspiratorial, like we tend to be. I believe he bombed somewhere. God, I can't believe I'm forgetting this factoid. But, everyone says that, like, during the Monica Lewinsky stuff, I believe he bombed somewhere. Maybe it was Somalia. I'm not sure. Someone in the chat will probably know. Let me know. I'll read it when we go through the old chatty poos. But let's check in on Al Jazeera, get some live updates. So Nigeria confirms U.S. strikes on ISIL targets in its northwest. That says the United States has carried out an airstrike against ISIL fighters or ISIS in northwest Nigeria. Donald Trump says, claiming the armed group had targeted and viciously killed primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. Now, the Nigerian foreign minister, Yusuf Tugur, tells Al Jazeera the attack was coordinated with the Nigerian government. So, I guess we're seeing here reports about other ones not seeming imminent right now. So, we'll see. I guess there's many Nigerians happy but also worried about U.S. strikes. There's Al Jazeera's Ahmad Idris reports for Abuja. Let's check it on this. We'll see. Maybe this is in English. Why not? Actually, let me see. I gotta undo and redo it real quick because of the way StreamYard be. Give me a second. Here we go. We got it back up. Let's check in on this report. Here you go. Let's see what they gotta say. If it'll ever load.
The United States has launched cruise missiles against what it says are ISIL fighters in Nigeria. An American official says the strikes were carried out in Sokoto State in the northwest. Both American and Nigerian officials say it was a joint operation. This marks a major military escalation in the West African country, with the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth promising more to come. President Donald Trump says U.S. forces targeted what he called terrorist scum, claiming the group had been targeting Christians. All right.
Okay. I know we're mature, grown adults here, but she totally said terrorist scum. I'm never going to be able to hear that. That's hilarious, but let's keep moving.
In the region. Both Christian and Muslim civilians have been targeted in a series of attacks by armed groups in parts of Nigeria. Let's bring in Ahmed Idris, who's in Lagos, Nigeria, for us for more on this. What more are we hearing on the ground there about these strikes? What is the Nigerian government saying, Ahmed?
Well, the Nigerian government confirmed that the strike was done in collaboration with the United States and with due consultations with the Nigerian government. However, the framing is what is becoming more of a problem now. Donald Trump said they targeted ISIL in Sokoto State, which has been killing Christians and conducting Christian genocides in Nigeria. But where the missiles landed is majorly a Muslim state, Muslim-dominated state, and of course, much of the people who've been kidnapped for ransom or killed by the armed groups operating in that area are in fact targeting local Muslims. Over 90% of the population is Muslim. So basically, nobody is certain where the American narrative came from. And one of the things they said, they targeted ISIL. ISIL is not known to have any official base in the entire northwest of Nigeria.
All right, I need to start that over. What the fuck? What did I just... That... All right, let's start that over real quick.
90% of the population is Muslim, majorly a Muslim.
So he's saying, like... let's re-listen to that, actually.
State, Muslim-dominated state, and of course, much of the people who've been kidnapped for ransom or killed by the armed groups operating in that area are in fact targeting local Muslims. Over 90% of the population is Muslim.
Okay, so he's saying over 90% of the population is Muslim. He's saying it's, at least according to the reports from Al Jazeera, that they're it's local Muslims mostly that they're targeting. So I don't know if there's really a targeting aspect to this, and I'm sure Christians get caught up in it, but okay, that's interesting.
So basically, nobody is certain where the American narrative came from. And one of the things they said, they targeted ISIL. ISIL is not known to have any official base in the entire northwest of Nigeria.
All right, now he's saying ISIS is not even known for having a base in this area, which, once again, for anyone who's pretty good at pattern recognition, is paying attention to ISIS stuff, How convenient. We've had a few other ISIS things recently. Let's go on.
Nigeria that comprises about 7 states, Sokoto inclusive, in fact. Where you find ISIL is actually in the northeast of the country, not the northwest of the country. Places like Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. That's why we've seen Boko Haram and ISWAP active for the last 15 years, and they continue to do so. Recently, on the 24th of December, they attacked a church with they attacked a mosque with a suicide bomber, killing about 4 or 7 people as the authorities continually shift the numbers. So basically, that is what is happening at the moment. It looks like the Nigerian government is keen to avoid the issue of religion in it, simply because it will definitely backfire on the authorities there. They're trying to balance the situation to say that this is a fight against criminal gangs and not a target on religious freedoms or something like that.
And so how are Nigerians, Ahmed, reacting to this news that the United States has launched these powerful airstrikes on their country, a sovereign country?
A lot of Nigerians are happy about this strike, but also very, very suspect, or rather very, very worried that this could be a long-drawn conflict between or a long-drawn military operation from the United States in Nigeria. A lot of people have been complaining that the Nigerian authorities, although they say they do much, they are unable to rein in armed groups from Boko Haram, ISWAP, and the bandits that we continue to see operating almost on a daily basis in several parts of Nigeria. Currently, Nigerian military is engaged in dealing or putting out fires in almost all the 36 states in the country. In the north, the predominant crisis are Boko Haram, ISWAP attacks, banditry, and kidnappings for ransom. This is what is going on. When you go to the southeast of the...
Okay, sounds like just general, I don't know what it was word. Not thievery, but mobbery, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where this targeting Christians angle is coming from. I don't know. Maybe more will come of that here soon. I'm not sure. Moving on, let's hear from one of the residents. Just kind of the report, kind of what they experienced. One of these bombs in one of these areas that got bombed. So residents in the village of Jabo in northwestern Nigeria, Sokoto State, who spoke to Al Jazeera, said the airstrike did not result in any casualties. So interesting. So I guess there's an airstrike there. Says Abdul Rahman Mainasara, a Jabo resident, explained that Thursday night's attack struck an already cultivated farmland behind a primary school at the outskirts of the village. Abul Rahman just visited the scene last night, took some pictures, and witnessed how some locals carried debris from the scene. The bomb fell and burst into many pieces. There were 2 big pieces of debris. One of them was carried by 2 people, he told Al Jazeera on Friday. Another resident, Ismail Umar, said the community has not experienced any armed group attack in more than 2 years. Well, armed fighters, locally known as bandits, operate in Nigeria's northwest. Their operations are mostly in the eastern part of Sokoto State and not the southern part of the state where the U.S. attacked. Huh. That is interesting. So we got a report. Obviously, I don't know. We'll see, if more comes from this. But, that's just one report. But, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I'm trying to see if maybe there's somewhere about other ones. Yeah, local media report claims to show the remnants of a U.S. missile that landed in the village of Jabo. The reports say they found the fragments, no casualties. So weird. We got a lot of tough talk as if they killed some people, which, I guess good. They didn't. They're just blowing shit up. But maybe that's just, I guess if they're wanting to get out of trouble, I guess I prefer they do this, not murder people and just blow up shit in weird random places. Although they said it was cultivated farmland, so they really screwed over some poor fella somewhere. So that sucks. Cultivated farmland behind a primary school, so it was probably a pretty critical part of the local infrastructure, if I had to guess, if it's near a school, like right behind a school. But whatever. I guess it's better than murder, I guess. But if you didn't get your fix of murder, though, here you go. U.S. military blows up another drug boat in the waters of Latin America. So if you got a hankering for murder, they got one, but you didn't get one for Christmas. I guess at least we don't. Trump's acting like we got some murder for Christmas, but we opened the box, and I'm not seeing any murder in there. It's an empty box. I feel like he's playing a trick on us. I mean, I guess I didn't really want murder anyways, so, it just feels weird, though, to, like, box this up with nothing in it, You know what I mean? It just feels like a weird move. Like, yeah, I didn't want that thing, but just, what are you doing here? What games are you playing with me, pal? That's what it feels like. Moving on, because, I mean, what do we even need to do any commentary on the boat? It's going to be the same shit. It's going to be, I think we had drugs. You have any intel for that? Nope. Okay. I mean, I don't even need to read it. That's almost certainly what it says. Israeli Defense Minister vows permanent Israeli occupation of Gaza and establishments of settlements. So we got Israel Katz vowed on Tuesday the Israeli military will never leave all of Gaza and will eventually establish settlements in the northern part of the state. Hey, but that's only like one of their like top cabinet members. Like, I mean, what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything, right? It says we are deep inside Gaza and we will never leave all of Gaza. That will not happen. We are here to defend and prevent what happened, Katz said during an event in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. With God's help, when the time comes, also in northern Gaza, we will establish Nahal pioneer groups in place of the settlements that were evacuated. That's a literal, I believe that's breaking of international law right there, but whatever. He's just one of the highest cabinet members. It doesn't mean anything. He says, we'll do it in the right way at the appropriate time. So great. He also vowed that they would not withdraw 1 millimeter from Syria, the other area where they're stealing land. So that's great. From the territory is captured in southwest Syria since the fall of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. There's also been aggravating the Syrian government over there, which I'm no fan of them, but maybe we shouldn't try to topple this area into complete and utter chaos, because I don't know, because that would be evil, right? Whatever. I mean, I guess that doesn't seem to be a big concern from them when they have things going on in over in the West Bank, like children being sprayed with tear gas, sheeps being beat to death. Not kidding. This is regular shit that occurs over in the West Bank. I actually covered, them beating the absolute fuck out of baby lambs a while back. So they're back at it again. Just pure and utter evil. Great. This is, that process he was talking about in Gaza. Well, they're talking about implementing the same exact process over there. Just stealing land through violence by whatever means, whether that's private or public. And despite all of this, Netanyahu somehow still has the gall to preach to us about how we need to deal with the Iranian threat, despite the Epstein files, everything being dropped right now. Still somehow still has the gall to go, oh yeah, aren't you guys going to go to war with Iran for us? Because they've been apparently we've been hearing some reports who are kicking that idea around. We've heard some of the regular warmongers make a point of this recently. So let's see what Netanyahu has to say.
Iran is developing now ballistic missiles that are intercontinental ballistic missiles for 8,000 kilometer range. What does that mean? They add another 3,000 kilometers, and they've got under their atomic guns, New York City in target, Washington, Boston, Miami, Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so that is a very great danger. You don't want to be under the nuclear gun of these people who are not necessarily rational and who chant death to America. Iran is developing now.
Who is he talking? I'm kind of confused. Is he talking about Iran here? Because I don't know. It just kind of feels like some mob shit. This is what it feels like to me, especially for those who paid attention to some trends over the past few years. And how often is it that we get, something's bad's going to happen in this area if you don't, terrorism's going to sweep the region, and then, ISIS comes in. Oh, wow, how convenient. And, somehow it's got to be Iran's fault. Iran, the great evil, the great supporter of terrorism. I don't know. I think maybe perhaps Israel is a great supporter of terrorism. But finishing off our foreign policy, hey, we're still murdering over in Somalia. So great. More airstrikes, bumping up the record. So AFRICOM announced on Monday that it launched airstrikes to Somalia's Puntland on December 19th as the Trump administration continues bombing the country at a record pace. They said the strike targeted a small ISIS affiliate about 28 miles to the southeast of the Gulf of Aden port of Basaso in a remote mountain region where the U.S. has been backing local Puntland forces in their fight against militants based in caves. The command offered no other details about the strikes as it stopped sharing casualty estimates and assessments on civilian harm earlier this year. So specific details about units and assets will not be released to ensure continued operation security, AFRICOM said. Says forces launched airstrikes but didn't specify how many. Counting the action as 2 airstrikes brings the total number of U.S. airstrikes in the country this year to at least 19. And that's with them like hiding their power levels. It's probably over that. So they probably already have their record beat. So like they're kind of, I mean, they're playing this on hard mode. So I mean, if you are someone who's an enjoyer, a murder enjoyer, some ups there. They're hitting some high out records here. So Anti-War has asked AFRICOM to clarify how many total strikes has launched since 2025, but didn't receive a reply at the time. So now they're approaching near double. The near double was 63 back in 2019, so we're up at 119. Not that I'm hoping for it, but they're, 126? So they're 7 away from doubling their record. So, and the previous record being Trump. So, for all the border warriors out there, like, hey, buddy, maybe you wouldn't be having as much of a Somalian problem if we hadn't been there since the fucking 90s. So, and literally ramping up the problem more and more and more. And then we wonder why literal fucking retarded scum comes out of there. Well, because you're bombing them to the fucking Stone Age. Makes it a little bit hard for anyone to fucking, get when they're in subsistence living levels to, make anything of themselves. It's a good way to make a bunch of retards. You ever look to the poors? Yeah, they don't tend to do so well. Every now and then you get a breakout hit, but usually not crushing. Usually not crushing, and we're just making a whole country of poors and deads. But let's roll with the chat. Again, we're done with foreign policy. We'll get on to the Epstein field flooding here in a moment. But I guess everyone's saying happy birthday to JC in the chat. So happy birthday. Everyone tell happy birthday. Tell him I love him. Tell him you love him. Tell him how handsome he is. Tell him how smart he is, because all those things are true. JC's the man. Happy birthday, JC. Happy birthday. Let's roll the chat, see who else we got here. Gerald saying Yale just put out some figures. The UAE just murdered between 30,000 and 100,000 Sudanese over the last 6 weeks. LOL, what the fuck, bro? Yeah. Especially considering, I'm pretty sure there's like with the Somali stuff too, there's like a component there. Like there's a Somalian base around there that they're using as like a in-between spot for weapons transfers. So, and I'm pretty sure it looks like, obviously the reporting's, Dave DeCamp's basically the one reporting on it, but it kind of looks like perhaps there may even be like some of these strikes could be politically motivated to assist UAE, kind of like, their political rivals type deal. Meanwhile, while they're using that area as a jumping off point for, what could be debatably called genocide or mass slaughter at the very least. So, it doesn't matter if it's genocide or not. It's mass slaughter. 30,000, 100,000. Doesn't matter if they're all some demographic and if it's because that somebody's mad about the demographic. No, it doesn't matter. It's still a lot of people dead and still very much not cool. So it looks like we may actually be helping UAE out, whether witting or unwitting. So JC's stunt is 100% red meat for his BoomerCon and trad chud base. Base Trump is a real Christian leader. Meanwhile, in reality, we're still Israel's bitch. 100%, buddy. JC's listening and at work. Yeah, you go get that money, baby. That way you can give it to me. Shadow says, I think they changed the name to ISIL because ISIS sounded too much like an Israeli agency. Yeah, right? I don't even know what the L is for. Were they the League of Supervillains? Is that like League? Is that what it's? I don't even know what the L stands for. Chemical says, I thought we were done with the world police shit. No, but that's only before we didn't have a good reason. Now it's because of Christians. That's why. So we're the world Christian police. So that's the big thing now. So all the Christians can clap like seals. So, let me see. Boop, boop, boo. You better not be bombing North Nigerian Christians, says Uncle Ted. I think, didn't he say it was northeast? It was that or west? I forget now already. How much oil does Nigeria have? That's a funny thing. I actually saw somebody, I remember who it was, that was saying they called this a while ago that they're probably going to back off the Venezuela stuff here soon because they, like, for whatever reason, I forget the reasoning, and they'll probably pivot to Nigeria because Nigeria has, I guess a comparable amount of oil or something too. I don't know. I haven't looked enough into it, so feel free to look in that angle on your own. Let me see. What else we got here? Gerald says, more genocide. We must appease Jehovah. Who else we got in here? Religion retardation of the reason we have wars, says Professor Parsi. Yeah, it definitely tends to be a component many times. It tends to be a recurring theme. It does sure seem that way. Good morning, user Chadhead. Good morning. Pay no attention to the genocide in Sudan, says Gerald. Yeah, don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. You're all Jewish and Larry Ellison is a bitch, says your mom. Okay, all right, well, I mean, I agree with half of that. Good morning, Goddess. Good morning, good morning. Merry after Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas to you, Goddess. Merry after Christmas. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. I don't think I said good morning to you already. Let me see. Good morning, Mr. Charlie. Says, you're a fat lulbert. You're not cool, Jose. None of political nerds are. Okay, cool. Appreciate the engagement. Good morning. Or good morning. Did I say morning to you, Mega Nerd? Good morning. Good morning. Who else we got in here? Let me see. I think we might be all caught up in everybody. Oh, Ray, he's joined the chat. Good morning. So you think it's diamonds, which is African resources? Perhaps. Blood diamonds. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. Shadow says organized crime always has PR groups that are often called anti-defamation groups. That's so they can blend in and whine with the honest, non-criminal contingent of their ethnicity. Funny story, actually. I was going to play it for like one of the introductory Icebreaker ones. Maybe I'll save it for another day. I found a clip that apparently Laura Loomer, like one of her initial stunts in some college she was enrolled in, I think she got kicked out, is because she pretended to be like part of an ISIS fan club. And I'm assuming if you really get into the weeds, I'd almost bet that she was like, it was a manipulated type thing. It probably wasn't quite how it appears. But I guess she had asked them about like if any group was allowed or something like that, which makes me think that like she may not have specifically said an ISIS group, and they were probably like, sure, or whatever. Like, and so she created an ISIS fan group in her college, and Project Veritas, who's always kind of spooked me out a little bit, came in and then ran a piece on it, and then she ended up getting kicked out, and I think they wouldn't even release all the information or something. I don't know. It seemed pretty spooky. We'll have to play that someday. So, kind of on that anti-defamation or kind of creating a group, essentially, I don't know. I've noticed some parallels. It seems similar. It made me think of that. Let me see. Let me see who else we got in here. Good morning, Bluesman for trades. Good morning. Good morning. I think we're all caught up in the chat. I think we're all caught up. All right, cool. Let's get into the first thing of the day. Let's get into our flooding the Epstein field. We talked a little bit about Epstein the other day. And then I'd also recommend, if you guys haven't seen that last episode, I put out a short episode, but a 30-minute episode on Christmas, and a little bit of a Merry Christmas to you guys. As a thank you to the patrons as well. Big thank you to Mark Vestibule. He wrote a piece that was a kind of building off of a couple other pieces that is kind of the idea of like I don't know, the epistemology of conspiracy. I mean, for those who like kind of how to go about thinking essentially about conspiracy, how to properly do so, and kind of how it's even actually superior to like the conventional thinking, which is like if you don't know the mechanism that does something, therefore we must throw it away because you can't imagine how that would work. For example, like one good example would be like people being like, say for example with Tyler Robinson with dropping off with the 30-06 thing, where they're like, well, why would they drop the wrong weapon? People say that doesn't even make sense. That would be so easily unprovable or whatever. Like, why would they do that? And you're like, that's literally an argument from incredulity, and that's like you can't imagine why they would do that. I mean, I can imagine reasons why they do that, but I mean, if that's the case, it's like that's not a criticism that you can't imagine a reason. And this is very common, is the dispelment of it without even really, like if people are noticing a correlation, it's kind of like, well, then we need to look into this. And if you aren't imagined enough to figure out the mechanism, that's on you, bro. And, and also the idea of like kind of not so much binary thinking is like thinking, kind of being a little more humble with your thinking, not just throw things out because you don't feel like it jives with your current conception of the world. So I don't know, kind of a big brain thinking about conspiracy, although I do think it's important in this very moment where, I think everybody's blinds are getting blown with all the Epstein stuff. And to kind of start that off, this conversation off, let's look at what Freudian slip there, what Donald Trump had to say about all this on Christmas. He said, Merry Christmas to all, including the many sleazebags who loved Jeffrey Epstein, gave him bundles of money, went to his island, attended his parties, and thought he was the greatest guy on earth, not only to drop him like a dog when things got too hot, falsely claimed they had nothing to do with him, didn't know him, said he was a disgusting person, and then blame, of course, President Donald J. Trump, who was actually the only one who did drop Epstein, and long before it became fashionable to do so. They're never going to let go of the stupid Mar-a-Lago thing. Like, oh my God, he kicked him on Mar-a-Lago. Okay, for one, that story, like, there's like fucking 8 different versions of that story, so it's like, it isn't really the slam dunk that people think it is, who was actually the only one who did drop Epstein long before it became fashionable to do so. When their names got brought out in the ongoing radical left witch hunt, plus one low-life Republican, Massey, and it is revealed that they are Democrats there will be a lot of explaining to do, much like there was when it was made public that the Russia hoax was a fictitious story, a total scam, and had nothing to do with Trump. The failing New York Times, among many others, was forced to apologize for their bad and faulty election reporting, even to the point of losing many subscribers due to their highly inaccurate fake coverage. Now the same losers at it again, only this time, so many of their friends, mostly innocent, will be badly hurt and reputationally tarnished. But sadly, that's the way it is in the world of corrupt Democratic politics. Enjoy what may be your last Merry Christmas, President Donald J. Trump. Pretty ironic. I do think that we're dealing with a floundering fool when it comes to this current administration. So, kind of funny. Enjoy what might be your last Merry Christmas. Although, I don't know. Maybe they'll pull this trick off. I think that's kind of what we'll be talking about today, the flooding of the field of the Epstein thing. We're getting whiplash all over the place while people are enjoying their Christmas break. So it is, except for people like me, most people aren't falling in and out. We had off the jump, it seemed like they were going to redact everything, and then we had that weird, copy-paste trick and some other little tricks people figured out to where they were able to get some information out, which we'll get into some of that. And then now we're going to, we'll get in a little bit in a minute about these millions supposedly of documents are now. So it's almost like, oh, we're not going to give you anything. Oh, we're going to give you so fucking much. And even then there's so much seeming disinfo planted within it that it's almost like they're trying to overwhelm you. They're flooding the field, especially right at this time, hoping that, kind of people are only vaguely paying attention to this, and the takeaway will kind of, by the end of the holiday, will be, wow, this is all just nonsense. We've also noticed a lot of trying to build their reputation since it was non-existent before all this in real time, having these what seem like obviously fake stories. The DOJ gets to then come in and be like, huh, this is clearly fake because of X, Y, and Z. And you're like, okay, cool. Look, and then they kind of literally it's essentially creating a false, kind of building of the reputation in real time. Like, oh, see, this is bullshit. Like, oh, look, we're being legit. Like, with this whole runaround, makes it a little hard to buy, and especially because no matter what, they've already broken the law. Any future administration can squeeze them balls really hard, and they can make some shit happen. For example, here is Massey saying the DOJ did break the law by making illegal redactions and missing the deadline, as we talked about the other day with our initial coverage of all this Epstein stuff. From the jump with the redactions and this whole kind of staggering all this stuff, from the start, illegal. Doesn't matter, illegal. It says, by the way, who's controlling the DOJ X account on Christmas Eve and using words like dope to refer to reporters. What he's referring to here is this, the U.S. DOJ replying to someone named Jamie Dupre. The initial post was the DOJ saying, referring to this Larry Nassar letter, which, I guess let's look at this real quick. Well, actually, never mind, I don't have it right here. Oh, it's right here. Here's Pop Base. So this is an example of literally building their credibility in real time. It says, so here's Pop Base. A newly released Epstein document includes a letter that Jeffrey wrote to fellow sex offender Larry Nassar, alleging that Donald Trump shares their love of young, nubile girls. And here is this photo. Now, Larry Nassar, which I believe wasn't he like the Olympics coach or something? So he was, at the time that this was supposedly wrote, he was a prominent guy. So you see, it's a little bit hard to read. Something, it says, dear something. I can't really read this. The something. I have taken the short route home. The short route in quotations, implying, I guess that's where people are implying suicide. People are thinking this is a suicide note to Nassar. I can't make out the first line. Dear LN. Oh, as you may know by now. Okay. I have taken the short route home. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies, and the hope they'd reach their full potential. Our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls. Seems like a weird thing to say. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. And I don't know, let's be real. This sounds like it was written by somebody intentionally planting this info. Don't get me wrong, I am actually of the opinion that Trump's probably a pedophile. I think he's probably done incredibly dark shit. But this seems retarded. I don't know. Well, maybe, sure. But there are some fatal flaws, as the DOJ is probably about to point out here, saying the FBI has confirmed this alleged letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar is fake. The fake letter was received by the jail and flagged for the FBI at the time. The FBI made this conclusion based on the following facts. The writing does not appear to match Jeffrey Epstein's. The letter was postmarked 3 days after Epstein's death out of Northern Virginia when he was jailed in New York. So that was a lot of people brought up those postmarked date, which I guess some people said technically, like, I guess it could get postmarked after he sent it out, and so it could have been like literally, say the day he died or the day before, and then it just didn't get stamped until that time when it got sent out. I don't know. The return address did not list the jail where Epstein was held and did not include his inmate number, which is required for outgoing mail. But then again, a lot of people have do tricks where they will put a different return address so that when it gets sent out, that if they want it to be returned somewhere else, which I don't know, maybe that could be like some intel trick. I've heard people do that stuff, especially like drug deliveries. I think that's a thing. People do that so that way, because like if you're trying to like sell or buy or whatever, like do you really want to send it back to you? So this fake letter serves a reminder that just because a document is released by the DOJ does not make the allegations or claims within the document factual. Nevertheless, the DOJ will continue to release all material required by law. Well, they already broke the law. And then Jamie Dupree says, okay, then so why would DOJ publicly release something that's fake? Your answers, please. I mean, that's kind of stupid. But they said because the law requires us to release all documents related to Jeffrey Epstein in our possession, so that's what we are doing, you dope. Are you suggesting we break the law? And then it's funny, what we read initially was Massey pointing out, but you did break the law. You broke the law. You've already broke the law. It doesn't matter. Then here's more, this flooding of the field that we're talking about. There's DOJ again. It says the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York and the FBI have informed the DOJ that they have uncovered over 1 million more documents. So after all this hemming and hawing, it's nothing, it's this, that. Now there's 1 million more documents. 1 million, 1,000 thousands. All right. I mean, I don't know how many documents are typically in a court case. I mean, maybe that's not that crazy. I mean, if Tyler's in the chat, let me know. What kind of documents amounts are we talking about at the end of like court cases? Because that sounds absolutely insane to me. But what do I know? What do I know? So the DOJ has received these documents from FDNY and the FBI to review them for release, which wasn't the same fucking people before that supposedly had all these ones that we're waiting for, and they had some word legal battle or whatever, this whole other weird side kayfabe nonsense. I believe that was the same one, but whatever. In compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, existing statutes, and judicial orders. We have lawyers working around the clock to review and make the legally required redactions to protect victims, and we will release the documents as soon as possible. Due to the mass volume of material, this process may take a few more weeks. The department will continue to fully comply with federal law and President Trump's direction to release these files. Well, I think they've had more than enough fucking time, and people should be in fucking jail, because this is a law. But, yeah, and here's Massey again saying now the DOJ claims the Epstein-Maxwell file exceeds 1.7 million documents. And they still expect you to believe this only involves 2 guilty people. And although they don't even really expect, I don't know what they expect us to believe at this point, because here's Dropsite pushing back against that. So the FBI internally treated Epstein as part of a multi-person criminal conspiracy with at least 10 identified co-conspirators, even though no such list was ever charged or made public. It says, here's the transcript from redacted to redacted. Actually, I'll just read this from you right here. So, from redacted to redacted, subject, co-conspirators. So this date, Sunday, 7 July, 2019, at 5:32 p.m. Importance, normal. I'm not sure, probably Zulu time for those who knows what that is, if that matters for any of you guys. Redacted does not need to head out. We made contact with redacted last night in New York. Contact was made with redacted. Attempts were made to redacted and Brunel. Redacted is confirmed to live in New York, but is away for the holiday weekend. We did not have a good address for redacted, but an attempt was made at a residence in New York. Attempts to Maxwell are being made in Boston today. Redacted will be approached in Florida and redacted in New York, but haven't as of yet. I do not know about Ohio contacting Wexner. Oh, I'm retarded. I always forget with these emails, you got to read them the other way around because it's like top up. But the one that preceded this would be, when you get a chance, can you give me an update on the status of the 10 the 10 co-conspirators, I guess? Do we need redacted to head out unredacted? Redacted, FBI New York, redacted. So yeah, right there, talking about the 10 conspirators. Meanwhile, people have, sleuths have already seen they've redacted multiple of these supposed conspirators. So, which I don't know if that was from like the copy paste trick or some of the other stuff. They're able to get rid of the redactions, and then the redactions came later. But they have, already shown to where, because they've had this loose definition of victim, and they're going, like possible suspects could be victims. But if you've already labeled them as a co-conspirator within the investigation, like within the internal investigation, I just do not even know how you could, even in the most vaguest of sense, consider these things a victim, unless there's some information out there that you were like, oh shit, we were fatally wrong about whatever thing. And so all the more reason for transparency to say how that's the case. So wild stuff. We got that's what they told us not to believe from the jump. Real quick, I do think never mind, I was wrong. These were from that one of those sneaky sneaks. So let's start from the top. I didn't realize there was an initial one to this chain here. It says, new reporting by CoffeeZilla working with Gmail and DropSite News shows the FBI inadvertently exposed more than 11,000 previously unreleased Jeffrey Epstein documents internally labeled Volume 8. They were accessible through an unindexed FBI URL. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. There's been two, everyone brings up the copy and paste thing, but there was also another one where it was an unindexed FBI URL, which I'm retarded when it comes to tech stuff, so I'm doing my best here. But my understanding was like there's a way to access it as some sort of nerd, but even though it's not like immediately available, like it was like a kind of like, I think the best way to understand it would be like for anyone who's ever gone to YouTube and like an unlisted video, like if you have the link, you can get to it. But otherwise, like, or if you know some sort of weird workaround somehow, but otherwise it doesn't show up like on the main page and like something like that. And then even then, I think actually it's a pretty good example because YouTube videos, you could do private videos as well. And I think there's some sort of weird password mechanism or something. And so essentially they chose to do like the equivalent of like an unlisted as opposed to a private, which would, have some sort of password protection or something. And so because they didn't even bother essentially password protecting their stuff, people were able to bypass it. So this file strongly appeared to contradict repeated claims by the FBI and the U.S. DOJ that there was no evidence to pursue uncharged third parties. Documents reference at least 10 alleged co-conspirators, grand jury subpoenas issued across multiple states, and notes indicating federal interests beyond Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including Les Wexner, the billionaire former CEO of Victoria's Secret and Epstein's longtime patron. And then here's another one of these emails. It says, for your situational awareness, we wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 93 and 96, including at least 4 flights on which Maxwell was also present. He is listed as having traveled with, among others, and at various times, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, and his son Eric. On one flight, 93 and Epstein are the only listed passengers. On another, the only 3 passengers are Epstein, Trump, and then 20-year-old redacted. On 2 other flights, 2 of the passengers, respectively, were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. We've just finished reviewing the full records, more than 100 pages of very small script, and didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. And so this is another, what I just read off to you guys was another one of these emails that got revealed in this little sleuthing, which is, I don't know what to agree if this is, I mean, I worked for the government for like over a decade, so I completely buy incompetence, but it is also like, holy shit, that seems like for someone whose job is tech dork shit, that seems like a crazy level of incompetence, but what the fuck do I know? I mean, yeah, the government is pretty stupid and pretty awful. At the same time, it is evil because people always say, well, how can you be both? Well, I mean, if you are an evil person, a smart evil person, and you are surrounded by retards, you are in an area where, like, if you understand the dynamic, understand the game that needs to be played, and you're surrounded by retards as a genius or as like a smart evil person, well, you're in a position where you can thrive. You can lord above the retards. They can be your retarded army. Well, ironically, literally an army. So, but anyways, yeah. So it's believable. It's believable, I guess. who knows? Maybe they're playing some game. This is part of the trick. I have a hard time believing that one. I don't know. I lean towards incompetence, but I am open towards some sort of we want you to know type thing. It's such a, I don't know what to make of this whole thing. But, with all this, I say, be careful, keep your head a swivel, keep your eye on the ball. I'm sure there's probably gonna be stuff, throughout this Epstein ongoing saga that, you guys be like, why didn't you cover this? Why didn't you cover that? Well, we're getting flooded with so much information. It's gonna be borderline impossible to keep up with all of it. And also on top of it, I've already seen, I can't tell you how many stuff that legit did come from the Epstein files that is obviously bullshit, stuff that didn't come from the Epstein files that is some influencer fucking shared it, and then now everyone's taking it as gospel truth, and now it's either completely fake or it's something from another thing, or it's like post-reality, like post-truth type shit out there right now. So keep your head on a swivel, eye on the ball, try not to get too, if something confirms your suspicions, you got to take it with a grain of salt, as we will get into in a minute, because otherwise you make the Tracys of the world look good. For example, right here, he's pointing out, he's another one of those people who are pointing out the Larry Nassar one, going, people are such morons. This letter was postmarked August 13th, 2019, after Epstein was dead, and was sent from Northern Virginia. Other than that, totally legit. And so there's actually been a lot of people just gargling Michael Tracy's balls lately, because oh my God, you were the skeptic, and you were right that some of these things are wrong. This is who the fuck was ever saying anything ever that came out of this is going to be correct, and any claim ever made by Epstein is true? Not me, that's for sure. But with some of the silliness that's coming out, I'm just saying, brace for the pedo panic. They've been signaling it for a while. They're going to try to make it another satanic panic again. This seems like part of that. Just flood the field. That way there's going to be so much silly nonsense out there that, they're able to easily build credibility on the fly, slapping down silly bullshit. Here you go. Here's another one from Tracy, though. More point to don't listen these dumb bitches. Here's FBI investigation summary. It says, contrary to some reports, searches of Epstein's residence did not reveal any cameras in any of the bedrooms or massage rooms. Gee, that might have been useful information to divulge at some point, given all the erroneous news reports. So now him leaning even more into the, I was so right. Well, here's our boy Ken, says, don't believe your lying eyes, believe Michael Tracy and the FBI, showing us a photo. I believe this came out from way back in the day when the initial investigations, I forget when this was. Actually, might have been after some of the weird Bongino Cash bullshit video stuff. I think there was some sort of tranche of images and stuff that came out. I don't remember exactly when this one dropped, but you can see really clearly, and it even says caption on the bottom, mounted in a corner above his bed was a surveillance camera photo show. So, we literally have cameras of the cameras, or not camera, we live photos of the cameras. So, there's other ones too, I believe, that we've seen. So, yeah, but does it mean that, he wasn't right to be skeptical about some things? Absolutely not. He probably was, it was probably proper for him to be skeptical about a lot of things as well. Really, a lot of you guys should be. Well, let's dig a little bit into another one of these that that a lot of people have been running in, that kind of weirdly entered into my sphere of what I'm known for, the Oklahoma City bombing. Here is one of them. Here's this one that's been going around about this lady who, it's a little bit of a convoluted story, where it's like some sort of trucker that, ended up having a kid with some lady, and then, we'll get into laying this all out, but essentially one of her kids, I guess he's became like a daughter to me, these two girls that were the sisters of his son with that woman, so not his blood children, and then she was supposedly some meth head or something, so he took over and yada yada yada, and then next thing you know, 19 years old, this girl shows up dead, and from there, I guess he had some story about talking to being a chauffeur from Trump in the past, and knowing that these girls and the mom was moving them in and out of with these people or something. It's super convoluted. And then it weirdly just completely seems like out of nowhere, in the document that we're going to go over, just at the end drops a John Doe 2 claim. You're like, what? Just claims he knows someone named John Nichols is John Doe 2. So, okay. But essentially some girl implying that around the age of 14 had been AR'd by Jeffrey and by Trump. And then, showed up around 19 with kind of being suicided and kind of, supposedly claims that it didn't look like a suicide and yada, yada, yada. So, which, trust me, I've covered these stories and I believed a lot of these stories, and I think these sorts of stories do exist and are real, but it doesn't mean every single one is. And I'm still open to this one being real. So, but here is trumpfile.org. So we're going to cover, I guess, probably one that's a little bit more glazing this story, trying to make it sound, let's be real, a little bit more legit. It says on January 10th, 2000, a 19-year-old girl named Dusty was found dead by gunshot to the head in Kiefer, Oklahoma. That's the same day a 2020 FBI complaint alleged that a Trump rape victim was found with her head blown off in Kiefer after reporting him to the police. Now, this is pulled from the Oklahoman. You can see an excerpt here. A 19-year-old student from Kiefer died on January 10th, 2000, according to death notices in two newspapers, the Tulsa World and the Sapulpa Herald. The state's chief medical examiner, Dr. Eric Pfeffer, told the Oklahoman on December 24th the death of Dusty Ray Duke was ruled a suicide by a gunshot to the head. So here we go. It says this victim told the driver that she couldn't report Donald J. Trump R-ing her because they will kill me. In 2021, another victim said that Epstein told her girls who don't behave are fed to alligators and took her where they die. He threatened to kill her and her son. Now let's go through. Do they have the full thing here? No, they don't have the full thing here. Now we'll wait and we'll cover the document here in a minute. But let's see more about what Trump File has to say about this. Now there's the limo. Here is the supposed limo driver. Let's actually watch this. Maybe just a little bit, not too much, at least so you can get a vibe of who this guy is. A lot of internet sleuths found the guy that they think is him. Someone online making similar such claims. But let's check in on what he had to say. I'll probably put it maybe on 2 times, so if it's a little bit fast, that's why, guys.
To Donald John Trump, who was the 45th president of the United States of America. Donald, I know for a fact that you know exactly who I am. Don't even try to play like you don't. You stalked me in May, I'm almost certain it was May, of 1995, and you know you did. You called around the different services that were in the Dallas area and tell you found the one that I was a chauffeur for. Then you requested me specifically to come pick you up so that you could intimidate me. You even threatened me with your ignorant gold-plated semi-automatic, whatever it was. You did all that because you had raped a little girl around Christmas time of 94, 5 months earlier, who was 14 years old. And when that little girl was 7 years old, her and her 2 sisters became my daughters by choice. I love all 3 of those girls more than life itself. You stalked me in Dallas, I guess because either she or her mother had threatened you with me. I, haven't been able to get a straight story out of anybody about it. And you bragged while you were on your cell phone to somebody named Jeffrey about having raped my daughter by choice. When I pulled that car over on the side of Highway 114, I had unlocked my briefcase and opened the top of it, where my pistol laid. It was loaded with some rounds that would have taken your head completely off of your body. And I came within 2 seconds.
For one, that's just silliness. I don't know. I mean, any like big gun guys? I mean, is there even any pistols that would really? I mean, maybe a Desert Eagle wouldn't blow your head off. Even a 30-06 wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe 30. Maybe like it depends. Like if you got kirked in the neck, maybe like kind of. But like I don't know. Whatever. Maybe I'm being too pedantic or semantic here.
Of grabbing that gun. And
sounds like dumb boomer shit though.
You right there. The only reason that didn't happen was because the spirit of our creators came over me. Said, you can't put your wife through this, was the thought. So I dropped that car back in drive. Took you on to the airport. Now, Donald, you better listen real close to this, boy. I forgive you. Doesn't mean I'm not mad at you. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be held accountable for that. And then for having my daughter, by choice, from the time she was 7 years old, having her murdered on January 10th of 2000, 2 weeks after she called the police about you, finally worked up the courage to call the police about you. On Christmas Day, she called the Tulsa Police Department and reported you having raped her. You know everything I just said is absolutely true, Donald. You know it, because you did it. I know you did it. The girl's mother knows you did it. You bought her 5 houses so far, that I know of, as hush payments. You started paying hush payments to her. The only way I forgive you is because I understand what influence does to people while we're in these human bodies we occupy. But other than that, you need to stay away from me, Donald. You and your little henchmen, like the ones that have been following me around for the last 3 or 4 days. And they're, well, I know what kind of vehicle they're in. need to stop it. Because as you already know, I don't get intimidated. The amount of hell I went through growing up, you ain't nothing. You really aren't. You ain't nothing, boy.
You ain't nothing, boy. All right, now, maybe this is legit. Who knows? It just, I don't know. It's a little corny, but all right, let's keep moving. Let's see what else they got. Here's Trump files. As if this story is real, the FBI knew about it and covered for Trump like they did for Epstein. This may sound crazy, but this is not the first time the FBI has chosen to evade investigations of Trump, even when they investigated his accomplices. Which, yeah, I mean, okay, obviously, like, if true, whoa, it's so crazy, but that's a big if true. And it definitely wouldn't be the first time the FBI has covered up investigations, which ironically they've literally done with this. But here's our boy Ken again. Says the same person who reported this also said the FBI had John Doe 2, who is really John Nichols, tried setting him up for the OKC bombing. And because Hillary Clinton fired John Doe 2 from a security job. Obviously a crazy person. What are we even doing here? Which I do find it interesting. I've seen a lot of people that, funny enough, the one I just looked at, they've shared this around, and they've been sharing just this initial page and not this second page, or technically the third, which is the one where he goes in the John Doe claim. So it kind of ends abruptly, which is almost like, it feels like maybe on purpose. Although, to be fair, like if you are only interested in the Trump stuff, it would be like, well, this contextually has nothing to do with anything. Although, let's be real, if you're a smart person, you go, well, this kind of, I feel like this maybe not discredits it, but you go, whoa, you're adding in a whole other crazy claim. It makes you like, what? So let's read what it actually says. The initial one that a lot of people are spinning out about says, redacted advised redacted to call the police regarding the incident as redacted, stated, I can't, they will kill me. On Christmas Day, redacted, contacted redacted, stated she had in fact called the police about what they had talked about. Redacted told redacted she had done good. Redacted did not hear from redacted or redacted until January 10th, 2000. Redacted reached out to redacted, stating redacted was dead and noted she was found with her head blown off in Kiefer, Oklahoma. Officers on the scene and redacted say there was no way it was a suicide. Coroner stated it was a suicide. Redacted later stated redacted committed suicide because redacted had gotten cocaine from a Mexican drug cartel. Seems a little bit different, right? Redacted feels a murder is a cover for Ghislaine. The last contact with redacted. Oh, okay, I'm retarded. No, essentially what they're saying there is that they were thinking that this was suicide and that she was like got in trouble with a drug cartel and she was just scared or something, and so she's ended it herself. But whereas redacted, obviously it was implying it's the trucker here feels the murder is a cover for Ghislaine. The last contact with redacted was after redacted posted this information on Facebook a couple of weeks prior. Redacted called redacted, yelling that he had put the family in danger. Redacted explained redacted had a third daughter named redacted, date of birth redacted. Note, during redacted report, he mentioned John Doe 2 was actually John Nichols, date of birth redacted, who tried to originally set up redacted for the bombing in Oklahoma City. Nichols worked security for Bill and Hillary Clinton as redacted ate at a place where Nichols worked security at the door. Hillary walked up to redacted drunk and began yelling as they asked redacted to leave and fired Nichols, which led Nichols to attempt to set up redacted for the bombing. So even more like what? So literally the end there is, I mean, obviously maybe more understandable with the redactions, not being there, but sounds like, this supposed person got upset that Hillary fired him drunk, and because of that, he decided to set someone up for the bombing, which, okay, seems a little far-fetched. Well, I did a little bit more digging into all of this with some help from some friends. I got, funny enough, Ken and actually Wendy, I think we were talking about this. And I think one of them, I don't remember who, found the video. And we're like, holy shit, looking into all this, trying to figure out what the hell is this. And says, did a little digging with help from some friends in this Epstein file that had some explosive claims like Trump/Epstein, Ari and kid, suiciding a victim, and strangely enough, an OKC bombing John Doe 2 claim. And then I go, figure I'd pass on this info to people out there. Individual the internet seems to believe is responsible for the document and original post has declined an interview. Looks like he's been unlisting videos, turning off comments, and deleting/hiding comments as well. Make of all that what you will. Which this is what I was doing on Christmas Eve. I was looking up this sort of stuff, messaging people on YouTube and stuff. But here's what I'm referring to right here. Here's me. You can see me in the comments saying to him, I found his YouTube channel. saying, hey, I'd love to have you on the show to get the full story out there. Please let me know if you'd be interested. I'd love to get the info out to the masses. And then he's good old Daniel. He says, sorry, not at this time. I appreciate the response. Highly recommend you do something of the sort, if not with me. If you are telling the truth, getting that message out as loud as possible is your best insurance policy and also the right thing to do. Funny enough, before that, I'd actually responded. I actually have 2 YouTube accounts. I have like the YouTube account for the channel, the No Way Jose one, and I have another one that's just like the random, like automatically generated one for my phone. And so I had initially like done it on my phone. Because I always do like I always do YouTube on my phone and my YouTube. Like I don't do like any YouTube stuff on my phone, if that makes sense. So I don't even like know how to get into it. If that makes sense. I'm a tech boomer. So essentially all like the stuff for the show I do on here, and then everything else I do on my phone. So I tried to just do it on my phone and use my one account, but I think he was deleting it, or maybe he has his YouTube channel set up weird or something. But it looks like, from my experience of having YouTube channel and like how my responding and other stuff, he looks like he's hiding or deleting comments. I wasn't able to find my comment on it, when I went to my other account from my other account. So weird stuff. Also, some of the videos that I knew were up were no longer up, and they just kind of things. Some had comments turned off, which YouTube can sometimes weirdly do that on its own for whatever. I've had to like manually go back and change that later because it somehow turned comments off. But from the outside looking in, and knowing what I know about YouTube, looks a little bit fishy. Now this is his channel, Dan Faree. He has about 209 subscribers, has had about 11 videos at that time, might be different. Here's some of these videos. Got a Perfect Blue Liberal song, Clearing the Air about Dusty's mother, and about my involuntary, because apparently he went to I guess he got, admitted to an asylum at some point, so he has some weird cover for that. Which is very bizarre. And I put in here also, I've never heard tell of John Nichols. Guess it could be someone of no relation to Terry Nichols, but feels like that's the implication in all the Oklahoma City bombing books / articles / research I've seen. So yeah, I did a little grok. I was trying to find the other brothers and see if there's like a brother I was missing. I checked a bunch of places, ended up asking grok as well. Here's the grok answer, asking who were Terry Nichols' siblings. Terry Nichols had 3 siblings, 2 brothers, James Nichols and Leslie Nichols, and a sister, Suzanne McDonald, who used to be Nichols, obviously. And and funny enough, like James is the only one that ever really came up. And I knew he had another brother or maybe more. So like when this did come up, I was like, well, I assumed at first he had a brother named John because it just seemed like a wild thing for someone to say. Although I guess it could be an unrelated Nichols, but it seems like that's the implication. But yes, there is not even a John Nichols because most people would think Nichols and they think it's referring to Terry Nichols, the actual other accomplice. That, even in the official narrative, because obviously I think there are other accomplices, but the only people who got busted were McVeigh and Nichols. And here's a comment from what looks like who he's saying is the mother of the children in question. Still haven't heard back from her. I hope I do. Although I don't have my hopes up because there's no DM feature on YouTube, and this was in the replies of his videos, and you can delete replies or comments and stuff. So I haven't checked yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this comment's not even up anymore. But here's someone who, judging by the context here, sounds like it might very well be the mother of the child. It says, yes, please do quit lying, Danny. Tell me when we were married. When was you my daughter's father? I can't believe the circus media that you have made. What agenda, I don't know, but I do know you're evil. How could you have cared at all? Even as a friend, use my daughter's death for your own agenda. Everything you have said is a lie, except for maybe my son is yours. But I wouldn't know that because you refused to do a DNA test. You deserve to rot in jail or maybe even in the same asylum. But I'm not for sure. But I do know that you have slandered my family and you will pay. And then I responded, I'd love to talk to you about your side of the story if you're interested. If he's lying, I'd like to attempt to correct the record. And then here's more of his claims. Here's a Facebook post a lot of people are referring to. He's from Dan Faree on Facebook. Said, Donald J. Trump, you better call off your dogs. And this video is actually, funny enough, actually one of the unlisted ones that he took down. So you can still find it via the Facebook link, but he took it off of YouTube. Here's the post. It says, Donald J. Trump should be behind bars. He and Epstein raped my son's oldest half-sister when she was 14. Then 5 months later, he stalked me in Dallas, Texas, called around to the various limousine companies until he found the one I was currently working for and requested me. According to our dispatcher, he made it sound important that I was the one for sure to come pick him up. Here's redacted accounts of me having to drive him to the DFW airport where his jet was. Okay, here's both my publications about my experience of meeting Donald Trump in 95 while I was working as a chauffeur. I'm posting them together for a clearer understanding of the sociopathic mind of Trump. It's with great reserve, but out of great necessity that I share this. I hope it can make its way to the people who have been misled by Trump. Those who support him truly have been brainwashed, misled by a sociopathic showman. Sincerely, Dan Faree, former chauffeur in Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I apologize for the language communicating this. Please know that I have spent a tremendous amount of meditation and discerning whether or not to communicate some of the horrid details of my having to endure, having Donald J. Trump sitting within 3 feet of me, directly behind me as I drove him to DFW Airport in 95. I've come to the... I'm retarded. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out where I left off. I'm an idiot. Give me a second. I apologize for the language. See, I've come to the mindset that the details are necessary to show people his true fruits. It's extremely obvious he's not changed. A few seconds after answering his phone, he began yelling, Jeffrey, shut the fuck up. They're like shrimps or bites of steak. They're for chewing up, swallowing, enjoying, and then shitting out. They're all just little goddamn cunts. That's all they are. What's this little cunt's name? D, then blank. What kind of little cunt name is D? I don't know what her name is. Where's the little cunt from? Something. What's the fuck's something? Oh, in Oklahoma. Figures. Only cunts in Oklahoma. Oh, it's the mother shaking us down. Donald J. Trump will sing directly behind me in a sedan, talking on his cell phone as I chauffeured him to the DFW airport in about May of 95. He said names. The girl he was talking about was murdered on January 20th or January 10th, 2000, just 2 weeks after she finally worked up the courage to call authorities about Trump and Epstein raping her some 5 years earlier when she was 14 years old. Single gunshot to the back of the head. Coroner called it a suicide. Let me see. More about the one-way transfer. Let me see. Oh, never mind. Let me scroll down. So here's continued. More about the one-way transfer. Beware this very graphic. This is a redacted version for 2 reasons. A lot of what he was saying was so horrific and sadistic, violent, they will not repeat it except in a court of law to preserve evidentiary values. Donald Trump is very vindictive and a very sadistically abusive person. He has been for a long time. In early 95, out of the displeasure of chauffeuring him from downtown Dallas to DFW Airport, he was talking on his cell phone using extremely vulgar and abusive language about abusing some young girl. When he said something so specifically egregiously vulgar that I hit the brakes, was within a second or two of having nearly pulled that sedan over to a stop on the side of HW114 to yank him out of the back seat and beat him to within an inch of his life, or worse. The only reason I didn't was out of respect for my wife, who had just undergone surgery and didn't need the traumas of me losing my job and probably being arrested. So I pulled back on the highway and continued towards DFW Airport. As I was regaining speed to highway levels, he laughed and said, I guess I've got the virgin driver today. He also called the service I drove for, demanding that they fire me. They chose to simply deny him any more service instead, just as several other services had. And then this is what he said. Someone ought to bend that little cunt over and fuck her up the ass till she bleeds. And the mother until that fucking cunt bleeds to death. Just before he said that, he said, so it's the mother that's shaking us down. That is the real Donald J. Trump. He needs to be exposed in every horrible detail of his pathetic, immoral life. He's a racist, Nazi, fascist with extreme psychological disorders who is in no way fit or qualified to sit in the Oval Office. I will testify under oath, take lie detector, truth serum drug, whatever, as to the veracity and truthfulness of this. Now, I wanted to point out that one last little line before we move on from this. I will testify under oath. Yada, yada, yada. You see right below this is Dan Faree. Dan Faree, feel free to, and please do share this. I've seen a lot of people online sharing other people's shares of this where they clearly just copied and pasted the caption of what he said here. And then therefore it makes them, the other person, look like they are saying, I will testify under oath, yada, 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 yada. And so then other person other than Dan Faree with something on their thing that says, I will testify under oath. And a lot of these boomers are sharing these out of context and going, oh my God, here's someone saying they'll testify under oath. Like, no, they're just sharing this Dan guy's post that says he will testify under oath. So a lot of people are kind of, point being, it doesn't look like there's really, I don't know, I'm open to something here. I'd hope maybe if there is something, that something more comes of it. Hell, even if he's lying, I hope maybe we hear some more, because this does seem... It seems weird. I don't. This feels like ops within ops, or just crazy people. It's always hard to tell. Here's the latest thing he posted. If you guys weren't convinced enough yet, this guy is mega schizo-pilled. Here's his most recent thing where it says "end." Here, it's a 15-second clip. let's watch this here. And funny enough, it's also got oh well, never mind. It's got one weird, to the deleted comments. Literally earlier when I checked on this, there was 2 comments and I couldn't view them. So you go to them, and now it only has 1, and it's Hippie Chick says the truth will win. You are believed. So Hippie Chick, I would probably not, maybe not encourage this. Probably not a smart idea. But let's watch his latest video. This is called The End, or End. ... Weird little spaceship thing flying in the sky, going over. Here's weird, creepy lines. And then it says, the beast is deceit. And that's the end of the video. And he's got other weird shit like that, too, if you go into his account.
He's my
odd shit. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Maybe this guy's telling the truth. Who knows? I don't. I mean, obviously, I don't know. Sounds a little not so to me. I'd be curious what you guys' thoughts are. I think we might take the... Let me see if there's anything worthwhile talking about Epstein before we move on. Because I want to get to the other topic. We're definitely going to have to probably cut out the third topic for today because I took way too long on this Epstein stuff. Let me see. Trying to cut. All right, let's just go to the chat, check in on you guys, and then we'll get into the Candace Kayfabe, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Here's Mega Nerds. His reminder, James O'Keefe attended the Bohemian Groves himself, not undercover. I need to dig up the phone call from his underling who exposed it. James' response was that it wasn't a big deal at the time. Okay, yeah, if you find that, definitely tag me that, because I will play that on the show. Uncle Ted says, did you see the Kirk videos all now finally saying the lavalier might kill them? Ian Carroll to 2 hours on a Wednesday. I've completely tuned. I've tuned a lot of people out recently, honestly, because, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there was a period of time with the Candace shit where I was a little... Or not that I'm saying the lavalier mic's a Candace thing, but I was more like the Ian Carroll thing. There are a lot of people who are just... how do I put this? Kind of discrediting themselves, I guess. Or just maybe not discrediting it, it's just kind of like, oh, wow, you're not that impressive, huh? Like, that's kind of, I guess, the way I'm viewing it. So there's a lot of people I've stopped paying attention to, like, anything they do. Ian Carroll's one of them, to be quite frank. So I know that's not to say he hasn't done good things in the past, but he is so hard on this Candace train, and like this team nonsense is super gay, and it's pretty obvious. I don't know, whatever. That's maybe I'm too jaded, but it's there's a lot of people as of late that I've just kind of zoned out, and I just feel like, well, wow, you're clearly just noise. Why would I listen to your content? So, but now the lavalier mic, I don't know. I'm open to it. I haven't seen any sort of proliferation of extra lavalier videos lately, though, so I don't know. Let me see. Rolling the chat. See what else are you guys going to say. Here's HDMITY. Says, isn't it crazy that Israel's always connected to these major world events? I know, right? Good morning, though. First time I've seen you pop in the chat today, so good morning to you. Let me see. Nasser letters crazy, says HG. Yeah, although it seems like it might be bullshit, but yeah, I don't know. They say it's fake, but they lie about everything. Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards fake, but if anything, it seems like I said, it's like it seems kind of like we're going to come in and all these obviously fake ones and be like, oh, that's obviously fake. We dispelled this and yada, yada, yada. So like they kind of get their pick of the litter of what they want to respond to, so they can just slap down the easy bullshit and they can just ignore any of the contentious stuff. Kind of like Candace. When anyone brings up any contentious rumors or facts about her past, she'll address a bunch of the other crazy rumors and not so much facts that are easily slapped down, but not some of the other stuff, like the Scientology connections, her father's connections to Sandy Hook, etc., etc. Things like that. Let me see. What else is there? It says HG says believing the DOJ is more insane than believing Epstein was bold enough to send this kind of letter. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like looking at it as believing one or the other. I'm not believing either, really. I'm just kind of seeing where the information leads. It kind of seems too convenient, so my vibe based is kind of thinks it's probably fake. It seems too damn easy. Seems kind of like literally like as if a Fed wrote it to be like, hey, make him say all sorts of incriminating shit, and that way later we'd be like, this was silly. But I don't know. Maybe not. It's hard to say. Yeah, DOJ said there's no Epstein files. Yeah, exactly, right? No, they didn't say no Epstein files. They said I forget exactly. But either way, they've definitely been misproved on their specific claims multiple times now. Gerald says the point of the mass document release is just to buy time. They're out in 3 years. They know the public will lose interest. The band will play on. Nothing will change, and you're all still Jewish. Yeah. Let me see. Ghislaine, or Uncle Ted says Ghislaine wasn't the only pimp. Why not just go pressure the other woman? Because, well, I don't think they want the truth. I think it's pretty obvious. Let me see. Black Eye says Carol has made a custom AI, 1 million pages. Shouldn't be much of a hurdle. Well, that's cool. So here you go, Mega Nerd. Oh my god. Oh, this makes so much more sense now. Oh, that's funny. This is really, I get it now. You know, sometimes like, cause there's like volume 7, volume 8, whatever, the different ones. Well, so I'm guessing they were like making them, and like, you ever notice like, trying to think like of a site that comes to mind, but you'll see like the /1 or /2 or / whatever, or so like they just were labeling them by 1, 2, 3 sequentially. And so, yeah, oh, wow, that's actually, that makes way more sense now. That makes sense for my retarded mind. So the URL, you know, like the www.youtube.com/nowayjose2020 or whatever, like they put / like, let's say there was like, I was labeling my videos 1, 2, 3. Like there was 1, 2, and then I enlisted one of the YouTube videos, but I labeled it 3 or whatever. So then the URL is youtube.com/nowayjose2020/3 or something. And then like, even though it's unlisted, it's not password protected. And if someone just like, I don't know, is like, I bet you since all of these URLs have been sequential so far, the next one will probably be sequential. Why not try the next number? Who knows? Maybe they already got it ready. It probably won't work, but why not? Then somebody was probably like, holy shit, it worked. That's actually pretty funny. That's pretty good. I get it now. I get it now. Somehow it makes sense to me that the tech, for tech retards like me too. Good morning, Boomer Slayer. Hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you had one as well. Let me see. Let me see who else is in here. Here is Shouts and Cornfield. So I guess they had to plead divine intervention in that Trump attempt. If Trump survived 8 shots while others were hit, makes him luckier than the Powerball jackpot winner. I don't know what you're referring to about shots there. If he survived 8 shots, I don't know what you're talking about. Here you go. Gerald says, Jose talked about a successful high sports career. There was a minor mention of Nigerian Christians being murked. And now we're on to Epstein did nothing wrong. Thanks for the summation of where we are for the chat. Let me see. Scrolling. See, Northside on my question about the gun. A 45 or 70 revolver would get close. Or 45. Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay. A head blown off 12 gauge probably, but yeah, dumb boomer shit. Yeah, exactly. Like a 12 gauge could do the trick. Maybe, obviously a 50 cal, but like, I mean, you're not doing I think I've seen like exotic 50 cal pistols, but like, that's like, I don't know, probably some sort of custom make or something. Let me see. Yeah, some people are pointing out the 5 houses thing. I did think that was interesting. I'm kind of hoping, like, I guess not hoping. I don't know, but I'd like to hear some sort of corroborating. I would have liked to have talked to him, like, genuinely, because, like, if he has, I mean, he made some very specific claims that you would think one could provide documentation for. So I would like to, you know, get corroboration on that. If his story was able to be corroborated, that'd be fucking wild. But, he's not taking interviews, and he's doing weird stuff with his YouTube channel, it seems. So makes me a little suspicious. Who knows? I mean, there's all sorts of reasons he could be doing this stuff. HG says, what do you know about Darren Seekey? Oh boy. You must be new to this channel. I got a whole, go check out my Oklahoma City bombing playlist. I've done an insane amount of stuff on it. And Yiki was kind of what got me started into all that. So go check that out. You will not be disappointed. So yeah, let me see. Scrolling through. Ted says John Nichols was the guy at Kayizon. Is it like Cabazon? I think you put a typo there. Is he? I'll have to look into that. I mean, maybe there's something to that. I haven't heard of that because I haven't heard of him. Cabazon's not my thing. I know that's why can't I think of Austin's thing. So I'll have to hit him up. Maybe he'll know of a John Nichols there. I've talked to him a couple of times about it, though, and I didn't ring his bell. So. Maybe. I don't know. We'll check it out. Shadow says, FBI asked Guthrie before his suicide if he had seen John Doe 2 at Elohim. He laughed and said, nobody fitting the description would be welcome at Elohim City. Having read the 302s, I agree. Yeah, he seems like they were describing a swarthy fella, you know, kind of a little bit dark-skinned. But I don't know. I mean, the way they described him, he could have just been like a white guy with a tan. So it's hard to tell. Let Let me see. Yeah, see, Boomer says, I don't know about this one, giving me Boomer TDS vibes, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Here's agree. I guess with agreeing. After that video, I went from for sure schizo to 100% believable. Really? You came out of believable under that one? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I'm like open to believing it. I mean, I'm not one to try to overly do body language and stuff, but I don't know. The vibes, I'm not getting good vibes from it. It seems ridiculous to me. Here's Professor Party says 100% with you on the Candace Ian shit. Boomer saying I've had to stop paying attention to people too. The character showing. I wonder if that's the play. Perhaps. Yeah. Says HG says I appreciate it and think you're probably right. Does seem fake. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to being it. I just would like some corroborating info. Uncle Ted says John Philip Nichols. I'll write that down. I'll type it in real quick. Maybe look into that real quick after the show because I want to check into that. Perhaps you're correct. John Philip Nichols. Yeah, Cabazon. I'll show you. Actually, I'll show you right now. Cabazon Reserve Trial Administrator. Okay. Okay. Maybe there's something to that. All right. Maybe I'm a jaded asshole. Maybe I'm a jaded dick. And this guy's onto something. We'll have to check him out. Dr. John Philip Nichols, Cabazon Reserve Trial Administrator who died in 2001. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, geez, a good catch. Good catch. I'll have to. I think it didn't bring it up. What the hell? It didn't even show what I had up, did it? Here we go. Sorry, StreamYard's being mega gay today. Here you go. Here it is. Shadows. It says Crooks took 8 shots at Trump. I'm retarded. I forgot the number. The 8 was a specific amount. In 6 seconds, according to the official FBI narrative. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It says if he's right, then that's Inslaw and Promise. I don't know. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe I have to check this out. I mean, although him mentioning a person who does exist does not necessarily mean it's true. I still get weird vibes from this. But hey, maybe there's something to it. We found a John Nichols. That's interesting. That is interesting. But now I'd like to see some more corroboration. I feel like there should be. But all right, let's get into the Candace stuff. Let's get into the Candace Kayfabe. But this kind of is a little bit expansive and go into a lot of different things. So let's bounce around. We talked about this a little bit the other day on Already Dead. The Candace Owens, this weird John Mappin, who's this guy who is one of the top Scientologists in the UK. He's also in Epstein's Black Book, and he's been weirdly all up on Candace's dick lately. It's kind of weird. Here's her. I'm not going to read all this, but I'll actually show you. I'll scroll through it. Let's see how long it takes to get through this, but let's read the first couple. It says, Dear Alex, real Alex Jones, if one were a gentleman with basic manners and understood the history of the suppression of freedom of speech and the mechanisms of slavery. I don't feel like it's actually quite his voice, but one simply would not act in the way that you and others seem to be acting. All right, I gotta go normal. I can't do that. You are far from alone in such actions. There's a particular moment when a free voice stops being argued with and starts being diagnosed. It is an unmistakable tell. The facts are no longer confronted. The reasoning is no longer challenged, and debate gives way to insinuation. Something must be wrong with her, they say. He is unstable. She needs help. The old trick reheated. Psychiatry is a political weapon. Well, I think he might be onto something, actually, but not quite in the way that we think. But let's watch. I'm scrolling down for those who are watching. Look and see how fucking it's ridiculous. Just one of those classic. I'm not reading all that sort of posts. Way too fucking long, way too long. He wrote like a little mini essay and even made some sort of, I guess maybe he put this in a magazine. Maybe it was an essay in a magazine. If magazine says when argument fails, the asylum is invoked. And here's a picture of Candace. Diagnosis as debate, how psychiatry is redeployed to silence free voices and why it is never the act of a gentleman. Maybe there's something to it. Here is Josh Hammer. Of course, StreamYard's glitching out again, so just give me 1 second and I'll have it right back up. But here is Josh Hammer seeming to imply just that we're gonna have to lock her up, old Candace, in the loony bins. Let's I haven't watched this video. Let's see. That's what people are saying this video is. Let's watch it.
I mean, Candace Owens, the shit that comes out of her mouth. I mean, this book that she's waving around, The Talmudic Jew, was written by a bunch of Nazi sympathizers.
Well, actually, that's not right. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Race science eugenesis. Okay, I mean the predecessors to the Nazis.
Oh, I didn't know this guy was there. That's what Dwight or Norm Dwight Norman Dwight Norm. I don't know. His name's not even important enough to remember, but he's this weird. He tends to do this like comedy. I only know of him because he's in like comedy circles in New York or something. I don't know what the fuck he is. If he's somehow all these fucking Jewish comedians handlers or something, I have no idea. But he's the other guy other than Josh Hamer here. He's I've seen him try to do struggle sessions with people like Dave Smith and others before. So it seems to be the role he puts himself in. I don't think he's. I mean, I joked about being a handler. I actually don't think he's some sort of asset. I just think he's genuinely that fucking mind broken by the victim mentality. Because he's really just that. But just thought it was interesting that he's in this. But let's keep going.
It was written by a guy in the 1870s named August.
Yes, it was the intellectual predecessor to Margaret Sanger and the eugenists, who themselves were intellectual predecessors to the Nazis.
August Rolling. And what's interesting about him is that he was exposed as a fraud in his own time. He was exposed by the Catholic Church and by the Emperor of Austria. So he was a discredited anti-Semite at a time when it was very difficult to be discredited as an anti-Semite. I did some research, I tweeted about it. It got like 1.5 million views already. So anybody can check that out. But go ahead.
Yeah, again, so I mean, it's difficult to know where to begin with this person. I mean, in a just society, she'd be in a mental ward right now. She would have been in a mental ward a while ago. I personally am a big proponent of bringing back the involuntary commitment laws of the 1960s. In my view, she should be involuntarily committed to a mental asylum.
All right, so I guess finishing off Thanos, she's loony. She'd be put in an asylum. And here's funny enough, there's actually going to be a guest next week. Here's Bazillion Thought. I actually found him recently. I'd never heard of him before, and I'm interested to have him on. He replied to a good size account. I mean, I really don't know much about the guy, but it seems like he's got a show that's doing fairly well, the Benny and Basil show. I checked out one of his episodes. I found him and his co-host to be a hoot, an absolute hoot. But he's Basil. Bazillion Thought, but he called this. He goes, by calling it psychopathic, they're seeking a workaround to criminalizing anti-Semitism, where instead of getting to process, some liberal witch doctor with a psychology degree diagnoses you with anti-Semitic psychosis, and you get 5150'd for wrong think. But yeah, I think it's either Monday or Tuesday. He's gonna be coming on next. He'll be coming on next week. So should be fun. I look forward to talking to him. I think he's kind of in the Groyper sort of sphere, although him and his co-host are both very fruity fellows, and I don't mean that to be mean. He'll admit it himself. If anything, that was part of why they're hilarious. It was literally like, I called their show it's like basically a bear with like what you think of a twink's temperament, like, oh hey girl, like that kind of thing, but like with the bear build. And then you have also this twink with like a guy with a twink build, but with like a bear, like very kind of chill and calm, and like what you think of like a bear, kind of more masculine. So but playing off each other make a great dynamic. But yet they're weirdly, I think, in the Groyper sphere. I don't know, we'll ask them more about where they're at, but it's just funny. I don't know, whatever. I just thought it was interesting. We made friends, from my recent shitting on Daryl Cooper. So he jumped in on the fray on that. Seemed to have similar views. So I'll be interested to talk to him about all that. And he seems to be pretty damn smart. Because look, he says he also called it back in the 9th. Says when Candace Owens' family inevitably has her committed for exhaustion, she will have set back the critique of Jewish supremacism back 5 years, and Erica and Jack will clink their glasses. Well, I think he's really onto something. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily entirely her play. Maybe she's just genuinely that retarded. But I don't know. I think one such example of kind of what we're getting at is this latest ordeal that I've just found incredibly incredulous. Apparently she has a super secret military man who told her super secret military stuff, so we're totally going to believe him, because super secret military men never tell you improper information, and because she says factually a lot and says that she confirmed things despite, as far as I know, not providing any receipts, aside from a very flimsy receipt we'll get into in a bit. But let's go ahead and play this. I don't know if we'll play all of it. It's a little bit longer, but at least so you get the idea of what the fuck's going on here. But let's go and play this.
With those eyes. That was that person. They were there. And the head of security there, he was one of the people walking out with the congressman. Now, how would I know that? I just have a gift for recognizing people, and yeah, maybe it's not him. Maybe he has doppelganger, but somebody with the same mannerisms, the same crick in his neck, face, the waxy look on his face, hand gestures, shoulder shrug, gait, approximate height, haircut, definitely walked past me. And
If
in
you
the
had
hotel,
to put it at a percentage that you were looking at Brian Harple, maybe he's got a brother in the military, who knows, right? Maybe he does have a doppelganger. He's got a twin brother, who knows? And I want to be clear, I can confirm on this podcast live every step of your story in terms of where you went, what time you were there, that there was this big meeting that happened. I confirmed the location with other people that are on Fort Huachuca currently. I can confirm everything with metadata. I obviously can't confirm that you saw who you say you saw. If you had to put it at a percentage that you saw Brian Harple, what percentage would you put it at?
95.
95%. Okay.
95 to 99. I mean, when I saw him, you know, on the interview with his face and gestures, with that photo, it struck me in my gut. I blew it off until there was, you know, some other pictures that came up with other people.
What other people? Other pictures?
If you want me to say, there's a picture of Erica Kirk with a ponytail, and from her past. That person matches who I saw at Fort Huachuca in the lobby the night before, and she was with that man in the lobby, and that man, he was present at that meeting the next morning.
If you had to put it at a percentage that you saw that the girl in the ponytail matches the description of Erica Kirk, what percentage would you put that at?
Those are really rare eyes. That's 95 to 99%. I
holy fucking shit.
I can't imagine somebody else.
Okay, so what I'm going to say, because obviously that's very explosive, and it's one of the reasons why I wasn't sure if I wanted to have you on. I'm going to be honest with you, because I guess I'll tell you the conflict that I had and just be just as honest with you as
there's a good chance you're completely full of shit.
You are being with me. The first thing was, I can't confirm it, right? I can confirm where you were. I can do all of that, but I can't confirm what you think you saw. I don't know you. I don't know. There are people like my husband who we can see someone once and he recognizes that person 10 years later, exactly where we saw them. And there are people like me, and I kind of have facial blindness until I meet someone 3 times. The second thing was, I didn't want people to wrongly extrapolate things and say, okay, well, maybe she was on the base. Maybe she was. There's a chance she wasn't on the base, right? That she has a doppelganger. People do have doppelgangers. I have doppelgangers, right? Well, let's say she was on the base. Let's say you're right, and you saw her. This is the night before. This is on the 8th. Maybe she was in the hotel, but maybe she was there for a different reason. Maybe she was there because she's always been open about the fact that her mother moved to Arizona because she got involved with the military. So that could be totally unrelated to the meeting that took place on the 9th. And I didn't want to, but then I said to myself, this man has lived through so much. You know what I mean? This man has lived through so much. And I would be turning my back on this, really a hero for discovering the cartels, who's lived through so much and has been treated like the government. And then I struggled with my own soul going.
By the way, we'll get into the crazy backstory, which, I mean, whatever. I'm open to being true, but we'll get into that. I'm
turning my back on him because I'm afraid of backlash for allowing him to tell the truth. And so, and my soul was in conflict. And I decided that, you know what, this is not my platform, okay? I genuinely believe this is God's platform. I am a conduit. I don't know why I have a platform, and I don't know why you have this luck in life.
Well, that explains it. It's because it's God's platform, guys. Now, to be fair, I will say, I've had people on that, I can't corroborate the things they've said before, but do feel like it's a little bit of a different context. I just something about this is just weird. Like, this is the biggest podcast in the world, and this is just some supposed military spook. He's saying he's a supposed military spook, and a lot of the stuff in his backstory is stuff that like you kind of have to take on a trust me, bro. So I don't know, just very weird. I just really don't even get. I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's doing an investigation, let her cook, and you're like. And I guess to some extent, putting a microscope on something, spraying out to the world. But I feel like that's like if you think there's a there, and I'm struggling to see the there, as we'll kind of get into it. So here is, kind of after that, we had a little bit of oh man, it's being glitchy. Give me a second. I'm waiting for it to load up. We had one of her kind of, frequent ball glazers, I guess you could call her, on here. Evan Kilgore, that kind of who slapped back a little bit, says, based on everything I'm seeing, it looks like Mitch was a total fraud on Candace's show and likely straight up lied about who he saw at Camp Huachaco or whatever. So there are reports that Mitchell Snow is a fraudster, has domestic violence charges, and has conflicting life stories. I could be wrong, but there are articles and videos where what he's saying just wouldn't add up to what he told Candace about his past. So it's about his past, about the specifics of whatever. So there's a lot of questionable details to this man's life story. This one doesn't just feel right to me based on what I'm seeing so far. Sorry if this disappoints you guys. If I'm proven wrong, I'll admit it, but it's not looking good. Here's a picture of retired Staff Sergeant Mitch Snow. Said he served in the U.S. Army Special Forces as a medic. As a small child, his life's dream was to be a Green Beret. While scouting out a drop zone using his rock climbing training and fell more than 80 feet, he broke both his ankles, back, neck, kneecaps, and feet and dislocating his shoulder. Medically discharged and devastated to leave the job they love, Mitch continues to work hard to regain mobility through intense therapy. And then here is a bunch of different things against him. What do we have? Domestic violence charges. Let me see. So we got a domestic violence one, Snow versus Snow. So I'm assuming an X. Then another one with an X. Says matter type, habeas corpus, which I don't know. Another one of domestic violence of Mitchell Snow versus Candace Graysick. So another woman of some sort, I'm guessing. Then he has another one, domestic violence, with Aaron Michelle Massey versus Mitchell Harrison Snow. Then we have another Candace Graysick, another domestic violence, and another domestic violence, and then a personal injury against a Gretchen M. Minch Schroeder. So now status dismissed, another one relief denied. I know this would be going to be good to have Tyler with us here. But relief denied. Got another one's closed, dismissed, closed. So it looks like some of these are now relief denied. I feel like if I recall correctly, I think that means that he had to eat that one a little bit. I don't know. But it's looking like a lot of these did get dismissed. So I mean, whatever. But I don't know. That's a lot of charges. I mean, I don't know. Seems a lot to me. I don't have this. I don't think I have any that I recall. So I feel like 7's a lot. Here's someone commenting on someone. Says this is Mitch Snow responding to another thing. He says, thank you for all the reaffirming out that there is still good people on this earth. It's been an isolating journey attempting to clear my name and get justice for my son. I cannot count how many hopeless nights I spend in agony crying over having failed to protect myself and my son from all this fraud, perjury, and corruption. I'll be the first to tell anyone I'm not that big of a deal. I go to church, pray for these people, engage in charities. I want my son to do with me as I do. I want to take him fishing into Disneyland. They have stolen him from me and him from... So it looks like they're implying that he may have lost custody, which is sad, but I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the circumstances. And then we have... He did... here's his background. It says he did grad school in 1990, synchronized walking. I don't know. You can check out all this shit on your own. I don't think there's anything too meaningful here. Now, there are some articles, so they're kind of just, I guess you have to go watch the thing to kind of see. Apparently, I think part of his story, too, is that, my story doesn't quite match up from whatever because I had to, found a cartel in a tunnel or so. He had some weird story he told her on there, apparently cartel or something or other. Kind of very much held up on a trust me bro, which to be fair, if you are doing military spook shit, it would probably be almost entirely on a trust me bro type basis, but to some extent that's kind of the problem. But Candace got a little uppity about it. Says that this ain't it. He was factually there. He factually stayed at the hotel he said he did. He factually stumbled upon a meeting in the exact building, the exact time he said. We confirmed Captain Neff was also factually there with the exact brigade he mentioned. So what are you disproving here? Try to debunk the facts of what he said happened on 9/8 and 9/9, or focus on trying to confirm a schedule for Brian Horpole, which I am doing. All that is left to confirm is who was factually at that meeting. Everything else he contributed was fully factual. So I said, any receipts? Totally down to see him. Says see him, because it sounds like a nuh-uh, trust me, bro. Yeah, she said factual a bunch, so we're supposed to just take that as meaning yes. Did see some people say in there, they go, somebody said she showed them during the episode. Show the incident report number, which we'll get to that. So I'm like, what does that mean? We'll get to that. Now here's Evan Kilgore following up after he got shit on by Candace. Says, I want to say all of this because I genuinely support you and have probably been one of the top voices on X doing so. I don't dispute the fact he was at Camp Huachuca, whatever the fuck, the days prior to Camp Charlie Kirk's death. I believe that, actually. I believe he even stumbled across something they shouldn't have and was interrogated for it. I do, however, question this man's background and who he says he is based on publicly available articles and videos. If the blurb is true and that he was medically discharged as an Army medic due to an injury, then we have to question the integrity of everything else he says. Maybe it's a story he was given in witness protection. That's possible. There are also articles and videos of him on Rumble and YouTube discussing his child custody battles and sharing things about his personal life while in a sling from earlier this year. I also just saw a video of him discussing his scuba diving adventures in 2017 without the sling. Maybe he has a recent injury earlier this year, but I'm not trying to disprove anything truly. I want answers and what's best for this investigation, and I don't want bad faith actors to discredit you for 15 minutes of fame. If, and I say if, this man's past is disproven, then it casts serious doubts on if he can be honest about what he saw that day. I knew I would get hate for being skeptical of this man's claims, and that's okay. It's the first time I've been skeptical, yada, 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 yada. Okay. So, yeah, there's been a back and forth. Alex Jones has gone into it. They're debating this. They're debating that. I don't know. I'll be honest. It sounds like a crock of shit to me, but I have no idea. But let's check in on what Candace, her response on the following show was all of this. Let's check in.
I said, I don't know if we can rely entirely on the memory of one person who believes that he saw these individuals. But what I can say is that we verified 1,000% that he was where he said he was, that there was a meeting where he says that there was a meeting. We verified that Captain Neff was there, the one that he says was nice, but he got questioned for a very long time and they wanted to hold him for 24 hours. So everything else that people are trying to dig up about Mitch, you can just ignore. Okay, that is a distraction, right? The only way that you can help debunk anything that he has said is to say, oh, actually, I was the person that was there. It wasn't this congressman, it was me. Or I was staying at the Candlewood Inn and Suites and I saw this couple or these two individuals in the hotel as well. And it was actually somebody else. It was my cousin. We are looking only for somebody to debunk those two aspects. Okay. Because he was where he says he was and everything else we have verified. Ignore the noise and stay focused on that note.
I actually disagree. I believe his past probably does somewhat matter, especially when he's coming on here and kind of like, I'm super military man and I was on a base. You're like, okay, well, we need to look into that whole super military man thing a little bit. But okay, but we say factually a bunch and provide zero receipts, but hey, whatever. Well, but then it isn't even just that. We got people, like I said, Alex Jones came out. We also have George Webb. He's kind of joined the fray, which weirdly enough, he seems to be like playing both sides of this. He was initially one of the ones jumping on this weird like Troon terror fucking group or whatever is responsible for this. And he also kind of end up being this like contributing researcher for Candace that's what I've heard from people embroiled in all this stuff. I haven't really gotten that. I've checked out a lot of her stuff, much like I have with Ian Carroll. But either way, I mean, you have George Webb as well saying the same thing, saying being careful. Erica was taking care of her mom on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. I don't think your whistleblower saw Erica, and he shares a tweet, supposedly corroborating that. I don't know. Could be bullshit. Could be lying. Maybe she wasn't with her mom. It was all a cover to do this super duper secret fucking military place and do crazy military things. I don't know. Perhaps. Well, I mentioned she did eventually scrape out a receipt of some sort, if you want to call it that, I guess. And this is what she provided. The screenshot of a report that, let's be real, it kind of looks like a pre-filled out thing, and you can even see on the bottom the cursor with a little I don't know what it's called, the little thing that only shows up if you're like in something you can click on and type in. So that's a little bit like, looks like this just got typed up. So weird, although I guess the argument could be she transcribed it or whatever from something else. It says at the top, executive summary. Here's what it says. It says on Tuesday, 9 September 2025 at 11:17, the Fort Huachuca Military Police Station was notified by Daniel Head of a suspicious individual at Southwest Border Mission Headquarters. Navarro, OFC, Officer Navarro, Officer Johnston, and Sergeant McClaslin were dispatched. Upon arrival, patrol spoke with CW2 Daniel Head, who stated that the individual entered the building with a backpack making concerning comments. The backpack was taken away and placed outside on the north side of the building and called the police station to report the incident. Sergeant McCaslin requested K9 stiff the bag in the vehicle, a gray in color Chevy Equinox plate for the color of explosives. Officer Navarro and Officer Johnson made contact with the individual identified as Mr. Michael Snow from his Washington driver's license, yada, yada, yada. Mr. Snow stated that he used to work on the Joint Task Force in the 80s while he was in the Army. Mr. Snow also stated that he was threatened by cartels and needed to talk to someone about it. INV, Olmos, and Carlson arrived on scene and requested the building to be evacuated due to the suspicious package. The building was evacuated and patrol secured both the entrances to the area. Chief Davidson also arrived on scene to assist. K9 SPC Hayes arrived on scene and conducted sniffs on the backpack. The Chevy Equinox in building number 70525 with negative findings. INV Olmos and Carlson transported Mr. Snow to the MPI office for further investigation. This is a final report. The funny thing is, like, this actually isn't even, from those who actually watch Candace's thing, this isn't the claim. So this is supposed to be like here's a receipt of that he was there. And you're like, this is a receipt that he got essentially apprehended by the military police, where that's not the claim he was making. Here's Paramount Tackle saying, where are my MP vets at? DM me. I like your analysis on the report. So let's scroll through. I mean, to see if there's any MPs here. Perhaps let's look through the replies. Any military police. I mean, this doesn't... I will say, from the limited experience I have from like military forums, it doesn't feel... I mean, kind of, but not... I don't know. Something about this seems off. I don't know exactly what, but I mean, although this could be like the equivalent of like an MFR, which is a memorandum for record, which has like no rules constituting like the specific format, because the military is very annoying about like about forms and stuff. They're really like, oh, it has to be in this format and this done this way and yada yada yada, except for like memorandums, so which is like basically literally just a note, an info note for yourself, like, so it doesn't go anywhere. That's why. So I have a hard time believing they would only do like something along the lines of like a memorandum for something like this. So yeah, somebody says, shouldn't there be an incident report number? I mean, I'm not seeing anything. Here we go. Someone says, a friend of mine is retired MP, says it looks legit. So there you go. Somebody says, follows the format, information, and cadence you expect. So it proves that MP's questioned a suspicious nutcase and thought he could have a bomb in his backpack. Which, even if you do accept this is legit. So yeah, and even then someone's saying the name here is Michael Snow, not Mitchell. Although in these sort of things, they'd probably fuck up stuff all the time. So yeah. Also, a lot of people pointed out the time is incorrect too, from even the time he pointed out. So yeah, let's check in. Actually, let's check in. Here we go. Here's a video from Valhalla VFT. Let's see what he has to say.
Guys were doing speaking events for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars made. And in any space where you have this huge, massive financial incentive to lie, people are going to do it. Okay. But again, we've reached sort of the end of that saga, which is a good thing. All right, but next, I want to talk about just why these guys have been such a massive stain on the broader veteran community and really how much damage they really have done to the credibility of the veteran community, right? But before we do that, if you're stressed out by things like that and you're looking for a better habit alternative, check out the sponsor of today's video. These guys were doing speaking events for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars.
Okay, so he's just shitting on other veterans there. I thought maybe it'd be something substantive here. Yeah, it doesn't look too legit. Here's some from Becca Fitness. I mean, she's supposedly saying. She says not a formal U.S. military report. It says wrong document type, no report control number, no command authority or routing, proper language and narrative style. It says military reports use precise, regulated phrasing, which are correct. Although, like I said, memorandums, they don't. But I struggle to think like someone in this situation, you would do like an unofficial memorandum. Missing legal disposition. Also, an unofficial memorandum would mean nothing, too, for the purpose of this. You'd be like, so someone typed you up a memorandum in the military? It's like anybody can do that. Missing legal disposition, no rights advisement or procedural markers, canine reference without certification detail, and no evidentiary attachments. This is congrats, you just lost credibility. So I don't know. I mean, if any of you guys are your former military police, I'd be interested. Does this seem like something? I mean, there are 4 different branches, so like, I mean, maybe different branches do things differently, different military police, but I'd say they're probably pretty consistent over all of them. We have Shu here, who is someone who showed up in like some Sean Ryan a while back. I forget what role he played in the whole like the Tesla bomber. I think he somehow tied himself into that. Supposedly that guy got whistleblower information from him or something. So this guy glows a little bit too. So to the whole idea of the dialectic being played here, it says he woke up, saw this whole conversation about Fort Huachka, and laughed even harder at whatever story is being painted here. Calling it the home of military intelligence sounds fancy if you've never been there, and linking it to some fan fiction assassination conspiracy also makes sense if, once again, you've never been there. But reality sets in quickly if you spend a few days there and you realize the base is not the home of elaborate spy mysteries, but rather a training base where drill sergeants shuffle tens of thousands of new soldiers through initial entry training and battle with never-ending pink eye in the barracks, teenage soldiers stealing from the shopette, midnight rendezvous of love-struck students breaking curfew and trying to have sex anywhere they think they won't get caught, and so much more. So it's a giant daycare, not just for IT soldiers. All right, yada, yada, yada. Really, the rest of it doesn't matter. Now, I actually want to say, this is stupid. This is really, really dumb. And I can tell you as someone, while I never it was never intel or never anything like that. I've told you guys before, I failed out of SEER. And they kind of, which is like technically not spec ops, but it's like kind of grouped in the military with them. They have literally nobody from my class even made it, like a high recidivism rate. So it's like kind of on par with those so far as like the fail out rate and like the difficulty. And so I was in training in that area with like in the same general area as like a lot of these other spec ops. So like combat control, TAC-P. I think most of these guys did at least their, what was it called? Their indoctrinated? Is that what it's called? I forget the first couple. Selection. I think most of them did their selection there. So you got TAC-P, combat control, PJ, SEER, even EOD, which is technically not combat or taught that, but it's also kind of grouped in the same one, the high recidivism rate. All of these people train on Lackland, which is the same exact place basic training occurs. There's also like, a lot of these bases too, there's airfields, there's all sorts of other things going on. Also too, you got to think if you are in a base where they're doing training for like ops or whatever, or for spec ops or whatever, those people require trainers, and those are typically going to be people that are like maybe not the best in their field, but you don't normally just get given an instructor role just for being a piece of shit. You got to be at least semi decent. So, is there any chance that like if you have some of your best guys there that they wouldn't be using them for ops or other things going on? I don't see why not. And then like I'm someone who is like obviously as a trainee, so like not that I'm saying I have some crazy inside knowledge. Who knows? Maybe Shu's right here. But I will say from just like my perception of it, it's like these things, like military bases are like little cities. So it's like, I don't really, this is such a stupid fuck, like, this is ridiculous. Like, so this is a nothing. As I do want to I wanted to push back on this because it does feel kind of like some glowy dialectic stuff. So I don't know. I have no idea what to make of this. But here's Paramount Tactical again, pointing out, kind of what I've said a bunch of times, making fun of people. But did you watch her podcast in entirety? She has receipts. And he goes, this is a very common defense of Candace's statements. Yes, I do watch her podcast, unfortunately, in their entirety, and her receipts consist of my sources say, but sometimes provides proof of the non-material elements of a story, but zero proof of the actual claim. This is a common disinfo tactic. And he's 100% correct. I was watching a bunch of her shows for a good while there, and I checked out after a while when I realized, oh, I'm getting a whole bunch of Trust Me Bros and no follow-up. I'm noticing a trend. But hey, who knows? Maybe we'll come to find out this was all legit. I mean, I'll keep me posted. You guys feel free to let me know if I'm wrong, if any of you guys still on that Candace train, but it looks like a whole bunch of stupid fucking slop to me. And moving on, and kind of in the grifter wars, kind of in a similar type thing. Maybe we'll make this the third segment, because I have a little bit of a small, short little bit here, and I do need to get out of here. I'm over time, and I don't think I actually have time for the Brown segment. But I can kind of turn the last little aspect of this into its own segment of itself. What can we call this? Chime off in the chat. What would be a good comment, or what would be a good title for this third segment? It's gonna be more like the Fuentes Teal, like. People compromise, whatever that is. Tell me, who knows? If you have the best one, I might choose it for the name of the segment when I go and post and go edit all these things. But here is a lot of people have pointed out a little bit of a fun conversation between Joe Rogan and Shane Gillis recently on the Joe Rogan show, seemingly kicking around the idea of a Fuentes presidency. Let's see what they got to say.
For war.
You'd think we'd have more presidents. The Catholics.
Yeah, they only had one.
Biden,
right?
too.
Oh, Biden's Catholic.
We got Biden.
Allegedly.
True. We only got one. He got shot, and then Biden was doing auto sign. Give us a good one.
Yeah. You got anybody in mind?
Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes? He could probably win in a few years.
Hold on, let's talk.
Listen, he couldn't have existed before, right? 10, 20 years ago, couldn't have existed. Now, super popular. What's 20 years from now look like? Maybe someone like that can win.
Well, we'll see.
I got to pee so bad. We got to wrap this up anyway.
I'm
sorry,
down.
4:18.
We got that one at the buzzer.
Yeah. Well, listen, I will say this about it. It's fascinating to watch that there's like a whole group of people that feel very unrepresented in the world. And especially like young men. And here you got this young guy with a very high verbal IQ. Mm-hmm. And he also does a lot of shit posting, a lot of talking shit, a lot of trolling. Says women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Says wild shit. And that Piers Morgan thing is like, bro, that was like an expert sparring with someone who thought they were an expert.
Sure.
Like they're playing two totally different games.
And it's also the thing that people try to get Fuentes on is that he's still funny as fuck.
It's funny.
So that's where you're in a lot of trouble.
When he hits him, do you think you made jokes about the Holocaust? He goes, too soon? Like, dude. Yeah. And you could see
he's wild.
You could see Piers going, oh fuck.
Bro, when he was like, me mom died. I was like, holy shit.
Bro, he got hit. He got hit with a missile on that one.
All right, let's zoom out. Here's our boy Boatsman Booty saying T-Light confirmed, which I don't know. To be honest, I'll be gotten a little bit annoyed the more I learn behind the scenes of things. So I actually wouldn't be the least bit surprised. If anything, I'd be surprised if Gillis has not been contacted by somebody within the Teal entity. But I don't know. I don't know if maybe not. It definitely feels like almost like kind of an invitation to him, especially for those who are aware of how much Rogan glows as of these days. But I don't know if I completely buy all this. Maybe, for example, Booty's kind of holding up on things like this, like yo, Israel rock their shit. Israel kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro, referring to something back from like March-ish. I guess kind of talking about the 6 days war with Israel. Which I don't know. I mean, maybe we could. Let's see. Actually, let's watch this. Let's see where it's at. Let's check.
I think it was the 7 days.
It's only a minute long, so let's watch this real quick. Let's see. Does this sound glowy? Let's check out. This is a 7-day war, or the 6-day war with Israel.
I think it was the 7 days war.
Is that what it was?
There's a 7 days war where Israel just slaughtered Egypt.
Why?
Egypt, they were talking shit. All the Middle East was like, all right, let's go. Let's get them. And they ended up getting destroyed.
Did they really?
Yeah, they got rocked. And Israel was like, all right, you can have it back. Don't fuck with us again.
Yeah, leave us alone.
It was a 6-day war. Look at the casualties.
Israel had like 1,000 killed, about 5,000 wounded. Egypt had 15,000 killed or missing. Jordan, almost 1,000. Syria, 2,500. It breaks it down between each country, but it was thousands to almost nothing on Israel.
Yeah, Israel went off on them.
And then 17 Soviet Marines killed, allegedly, it says.
Ooh.
So they couldn't still be out
there. Yeah. There's also, I mean, that was basically like, that was What Israel did was basically like when Stone Cold would come in at the end of Raw.
Oh, my
and
God.
Just stun her like 8 wrestlers.
But yeah, the point being is with this, so I'm kind of implying it feels like an invitation from the powers that be to what's his face to Fuentes, kind of like, oh, join us. That's what it feels like. The treats are nice here. And here's Booty also pointing out various other chubby overnight comedic sensations, saying get the Matt and Shane secret podcast. Although I feel like it's organic, so I don't know if maybe Bolts and Booty's just out of it. I mean, I never watched their shows really. I think maybe I've watched one, if any at all. I don't know. But I hear a lot of people in the comments, going on about it and, it being great and yada yada. And I see clips here and there, so I do get an organic vibe from it. He's also pointing out Stavvy World. I don't know if he's saying Brian Simpson or Stavvy, although Brian is kind of like Brian, I guess. Yeah, that totally makes sense. He's one of those characters you're like, for those who are aware of that, comedians. I don't know. I think maybe Booty's maybe stretching, maybe reaching a little much. But what I really wanted to drive at was this. So this is the same clip that they're talking about. This guy right here. He says, interesting, the propaganda machine of Little Tech is signaling towards Nick. And here we go. Here we shows photos of different people this guy's interviewed. You got Elon Musk. He's obviously the little line drawn to Palantir, investor, and worked with Palantir during Doge. He also is back from the PayPal days. So let's be real. Thiel and him are like peas in a pod. You got Peter Thiel, co-founder and chair, and these are all guys who've gone on the Rogan show. And then Chamath whatever the fuck his name is, an investor. I don't know why the fuck he had that guy on there, but whatever. Mark Andreessen, that fucking Egbert looking motherfucker, an investor as well. Which there's a lot of people all on his dick, and it doesn't make any sense to me when you look into the sort of things he funds and is doing. Eric Weinstein, who is works for Peter Thiel and manages his money. A lot of people forget about it. He is literally Peter Thiel's Jew. And then we have J.D. Vance, investor and worked for Peter Thiel. This is the guy who worked for Peter Thiel straight out of college. He got the largest funding amount from an investor. I believe is a senator ever. I believe, if I recall correctly. But we're supposed to believe he's not bought and paid for. Also, Palantir was initially it was created with CIA seed money for the good for 5 years or ish of its initial existence. Its only contract was with CIA, and later its other contracts were actually obtained via contact list from the CIA. So literally entirely a CIA creation. Literally, what's his face? Thiel is quoted as after being asked, is Palantir a front for the CIA? He goes, well, I think the CIA is a front for Palantir. So, motherfucker, CIA. This is CIA right here, and you would be astounded the people that are, people that are kind of in this mix. So I know a little bit of a weak segment. This was meant to be like a bookend for the other stuff. And here's something else I have out of order from one of you guys. I meant to cover this earlier as kind of like hey, these people all fucking suck. Here is from Sneeko saying this might be the most comically obvious Israeli intelligence asset ever seen. Father from Raytheon was a Raytheon research director, referring to Erica Kurt, by the way. Former Trump bikini pageant girl, met Charlie Kirk in Israel, glitter funeral pants. Does anyone find this normal? I sure don't. They're also showing the photo of the Romania stuff. Here's one of those photos from when she was in Romania, which when there seemed to be some wild shit going on in Romania. There are all sorts of rumors of child trafficking going on around that time. So yeah, it looks a little bit like she was some sort of kind of an arranged little build a bitch type thing. That's kind of what it looks like, and. Yeah, I kind of finished this whole bit off. I think this is a good encapsulation of this whole thing, and it kind of was going to apply to the Brown thing as well, because that was going to be like an ops versus ops thing. But it said influencer wars feels like a Mossad versus CIA dance off, like one of those like wholesome movie dance off ones where like at the end everybody wins and you learn the power of friendship or whatever. And so it's like, yeah, oh well, Mossad won this time, but like, hey, isn't it just cool that we're like able to hang out? Like, it's so great, like. That's what this whole thing feels like. This feels like people playing off each other. And sure, I'm sure there's some retards in the mix. It's always hard to identify who's who. But I don't know. This all feels like contrived nonsense to me. And I think we're all going to lose our minds trying to keep track of it. And but yeah, with that, guys, let me see if there's anything interesting to chat. Let me get out of here. I went a good deal over. I'm surprised my wife isn't bugging me yet. Like, what the hell is going on? But let's roll through. Let's see what else we got. What else is on here? Sorry, went a little late in the tooth. The last segment got a bit away from me. Let me see. Someone's just turned my screen a little. What? Oh, you're talking to somebody else in there. All right, let me check through. This is why do all ex-military talk as if they were giving a halftime pep talk, except Jose? They all sound like motivational speakers because they were probably a little faggot, little mid-level management, like not like actual grunts. Because like the military you're thinking of aren't like military people think of. Like when people conceptualize the military, they generally are thinking of infantry, mechanics, like the grunts. Like they're not thinking of the dude who folds towels at the base gym, and then or someone who's a tech sergeant or a master sergeant in something, and now he has to do all the gay little like niceties for officers, and he has to do all the faggot little shit to his underlings, and find ways to sell them crocks of bullshit and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's why. So let me see. Scrolling through. If someone has a noticeable strong military bearing, even wearing civilian attire with longer hair, what was that person's likely job in the military? It says Shows in the cornfield. I mean, it's a mix. I know it's hard because while I was saying like there is like what people imagine, there is also like a lot of these, like say like MPs for example, they can kind of bleed blue like retards. I'm finishing up. I know you're sleeping. What are you upset about? Sorry. But yeah, guys, that was an old lady. Let me see. Real John Doe. Fuentes being pushed up front. He's basically perfect to back up everyone's Hitler narrative. All right, let's get out of here. I don't have time to read all these chats. I'm sorry if you're near the end. Sorry. That's funny. HG says the last one says I have a buddy in the Air Force who's just basically a gym manager. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Sorry, went way too long. Had bad time management today. But yeah, let's get out of here. For those who want to support the show, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. At Tower Gang Jose, that's where you can find that at. And if you want to support the show the best way you can, that's with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. We also got that QR code in the top left-hand corner you can use. The lowest level is $2. It gives you access to a whole host of episodes or paywalled episodes. We usually do about 1 to 2 a week. Try to keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and the video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. And I also get a big shout out to the sponsors. Every episode is a big thank you for everything they do. My previous co-hosts on Tower Gang, at Learner Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Infant Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Kleebold, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tackless, One Hair Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vespul, and Jacob Winograd of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. With that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoy this fun little outro. Now, to make it a little bit more serious, I want you to imagine this with a song. Peter Thiel is that nigga. Keep in mind, he's all about that Lord of the Rings stuff. So enjoy this. I'll see you guys, I don't know, maybe Monday, Tuesday. We'll see. Love you all. Bye-bye.
One nigga to roll them all and one nigga to find them. One nigga to bring them all in darkness and bind them. I said one nigga to rule them all and one nigga to find them. One nigga to bring them all in darkness and bind them. I said Lordy, Lordy.